Thank you very much. We are proceeding with our program. Before I even call in the Mogalakwena Platinum Mine to come in, may I kindly request the chairperson to come and give remarks, and then we'll take it from there.
Thank you very much, facilitator. This is just a guiding principle to the mines who will be making their response submissions. The Commission has received your presentations and notes them. Your presentations and written submissions will be considered as part of our report. Looking at the time constraints, we're just primarily looking forward to hearing a summary of the written presentation, as well as your response to the engagements yesterday and today that were centered around the concerns of the mining communities. Thank you very much. But we'll guide you guys once you are taken the podium. Thank you.
Thank you very much. May I check with the chairperson if I can then call in the Mogalakwena Platinum Mine?
You may call them.
Mr. Craig Miller, the CEO of Platinum Mogalakwena Mine.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Chair.
Thank you so much. We note that the CEO has duly written to the Commission advising that he has delegated the authority to you to present the mine. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That is correct.
Are you going to be taking an oath or an affirmation?
Happy to take an oath.
Thank you so much. Do you swear that the evidence you're about to give, to the best of your knowledge and belief, is both true and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Do you have any objection in taking the prescribed oath?
I do not have an objection.
Do you consider the prescribed oath to be binding on your conscience?
Yes, I do.
If so, please raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
So help me God.
Thank you so much. Your voice is so. Usually, I think I'm the one who's very soft-spoken, and I think the danger of soft-spoken people is that people do not hear you, and you always make very important points. If you can just raise it a bit so that everyone can hear you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chair. I'll be very clear. Having confirmed, Chair, that I have the honor of responding to the questions from the Commission on behalf of both my CEO, Craig Miller, and the company, Anglo-American Platinum, based on a reading of the request, focusing on our mine, Mogalakwena, in the Waterberg district. I'm going to focus my presentation very quickly on our delivery of SLP. We'll look at the journey that we've traveled through the generations of SLP, this being the third one. But Chair, if you allow me to give some introductory remarks before I talk to SLP specifically. Our work on SLP is based on our purpose as a company, which is to reimagine mining to improve people's lives. And we do that through a strategy that is actually anchored on three sustainability pillars. First one being us acting as a trusted corporate leader and making a contribution to thriving communities and creating a healthy environment. So those are the three sustainability pillars. Our mine, Mogalakwena, in the Waterberg district is a large employer and it's a significant economic contributor. We understand that the sustainability of our mine is linked to the development of the community. We don't actually see the two being separated. If you look at our SLP journey from SLP1 to date, the total commitment that we've made exceeds 500 million, around 543 million if we include the current SLP3 commitment. However, we do not actually see sustainability just being on SLP. SLP is critical because it actually supports our regulatory license to exist and to operate. However, we make further contribution through corporate social investment and other initiatives that I'll touch on later in the presentation. We also appreciate the fact that SLPs are highly regulated. The DMRE made a presentation talking to some of the provisions in terms of the regulation. Let me also say we see SLPs as a tool to co-create sustainable projects with the community. So we actually focus our work as we go through the development, as I'll show in the later slides, in co-creating the commitments and the project that we're going to implement. Anchoring that is a existing mechanism for our community to raise any issues that they have, not just limited to SLP, but any issues that they may have regarding our mining. But today we'll be focusing on SLP. So just want to make it clear up front to the Commission that we do have a grievance mechanism that allows our communities to raise any concern. So in terms of the outline, I'll focus on the process that we follow when we develop SLPs. We'll also give highlight in terms of what the three generations of SLPs are, and we'll also give insight in terms of the progress, looking at the particular case in Mogalakwena, and then we'll summarize that, looking at the various themes of this SLP to further affirm the point that we actually look at SLP from a economic development for our communities and a sustainability point of view. So if I can just briefly talk to the process. The point I want to make to the Commission is the process starts with stakeholder engagement, particularly communities, and it actually ends with stakeholder engagement and community. So if you look at the flow that I have on the slides, the conversation starts with the stakeholder engagement, where we create a list of ideas that come from communities, other stakeholders, which in some cases could be either government departments that are actually having ideas that we consider. So we consider a lot of ideas. And if I can give a metaphor, we actually look at a funnel approach where we take a lot of ideas into a funnel, and through the engagements with various stakeholders, including in this case the municipalities, the traditional leaders, other stakeholders that I'll actually show in the list as I go through the slides, until we get to a proposed list that we take through for support and funding through our own governance structures in the company. And once there is support for that, again, we, in the interest of transparency, put back the proposed list of commitments to the stakeholders before we actually do the final submissions to the DMRE. And even after the DMRE has actually approved, we actually inform our stakeholders, and as is required in regulation, we also publish those commitments through our website and make them available through the various platforms, i.e. municipalities, libraries, and these are also translated, in the case of Mogalakwena, into the dominant local language, which is Sepedi for us. Just to give you an idea, if we look at the current generation of SLP, which is SLP3, as a case study, the consultations before we actually got to our first big list took 3 months. And in that 3 months, we actually engaged with stakeholders from faith groups, community task teams, business forums, traditional leaders, and others. And in terms of the number of engagement or sessions that we've had, we're up to 20 sessions with all those different stakeholder groups. And as I've indicated, in a final approach, we actually started off with 60 or more than 60 ideas that actually ranged in terms of themes, from ideas focusing on early childhood development to agricultural projects, skills development, providing connectivity in terms of internet to various schools to assist with online learning. As the Commission will know that back in the COVID days, it was impossible for people to always be in face-to-face contact. So that is an indication, Chair, of how we've actually gone through the development and getting the approval of the SLPs. As I've indicated earlier, once the SLPs are approved, we actually make sure that the LED projects in particular that are actually approved are socialized with the stakeholders. We also request the critical structures to provide us with letters of endorsement, just to confirm that there is actually support for the projects that we've developed. So we look at both the traditional leaders or traditional authorities, and in our case, the Mogalakwena local municipalities as well. And obviously, with all that in place, we make sure that our communities and our stakeholders are aware by publishing these commitments in the platforms, including our website, as I've indicated earlier. So if you can go to the slide on the SLP3. So where are we in terms of our current generation of SLP3? The SLP that we're actually currently implementing was approved during the last quarter of last year. We've already made progress. 27% of the projects have already been completed. The rest of the projects are actually on the go. Just to pick on some highlights, some of the highlights in this SLP program include projects around road safety. So we're actually going to seal some roads in the area of Mokopane. We've actually contributed or bought Yellow Fleet that is actually going to help the municipality do their own work in terms of doing maintenance on the various roads in our area or in our host communities. We also have very critically a program that extend what we had started in SLP2 already, or also in our CSI program, and this is around water and sanitation, providing water supply to our villages that are actually water scarce, and making sure that there's at least an equivalent of 50 liters per person per day supplied to our communities. And as I've said, Chair, this is the work that we do in this SLP, but we also supplement that with additional investment through CSI to make sure that there's sufficient coverage. We also focus on things like learner development, making sure that we support our schools, both teachers and learners, including providing them ICT training and also providing infrastructure. So just as a highlight, you can see the list of SLP projects that are there, even including the estimates that that we actually think will be the cost of actually implementing those projects. Very proud from a security point of view that part of this SLP will be installing 2,500 street lights in our country where there's high crime, particularly for vulnerable members of our communities, women and children. I think the provision of solar street lights get actually our communities excited that at least we're making contribution in terms of their safety. Obviously, as these projects are implemented, there's also the opportunity to create jobs. So the solar street lights project, we think, will create 90 temporary jobs, and in future maintenance, there could be other opportunities that we have not quantified. The installation of Wi-Fi, I've already spoken about. We're also looking at assisting the community of Mapila and Mokopane in terms of the construction of the Customer Relation Management Center. This is the center, when built, that will assist the community get to the municipality a lot easier. We also looking at installing meters that will allow or assist the municipality to collect the necessary revenue for the services that they render. So those are some of the highlights that we're quite excited about. The next slide I'm not going to spend time on. It's just a pictorial evidence of some of the equipment that we've handed over to the Mogalakwena municipalities as part of this SLP program. So looking back to the previous SLP, I want to also indicate to the Commission that we've actually completed all the projects in SLP2, but only one that is actually delayed. And in terms of the provisions of the law, we have actually reported that to the DMRE. Maybe to give the Commission some context here, the Malipetlek sports facility is the project that was actually not completed. It is an indication of the journey that we've traveled in terms of how we approach SLP. Very important that there is consensus between the beneficiaries, being the community, the municipality that's going to ensure sustainability of this project. So the Malipetlek project was actually delayed because there were some alignment that were still necessary in terms of alignment between the municipality and the community. And to that effect, we have actually proposed a catch-up plan to the DMRE, which we believe, when supported, will actually go ahead and implement the SLP along with the SLP3 program. So in the interest of time, as indicated, Chair, I'm just highlighting that in SLP2, all the other projects were complete, and you can see the list there. I'll move to the slide where we're talking about SLP1. All the projects and commitments that were made in SLP1 were fulfilled 100%. So there was nothing outstanding there. And here we provide a list of those projects that were included in SLP1. So in summary, Chair, when you actually take a 3-generation window of SLPs, we are saying SLP1 we achieved 100%, SLP3 93%, and we are 20%, 27% today on the journey of SLP3. But together, we can actually share this as a fact with the Commission that we've actually completed 72% of all the commitment. If you look over the 3 generations of SLP, 25% of the remaining ones have been initiated either through studies or they're at procurement phase. And we have that 2%, which is basically talking to that Malpetleke project, which we have submitted the catch-up plan for. Now, if you look at what I've actually said at the beginning, from where we started with SLP commitment of 54 million, today cumulatively we're at 543. So there's a growing appreciation of the fact that we need to invest more through SLP, but we're not only investing in SLP. As you'll see in the slide, in the same period, we are actually investing more than 220 million through CSIR. So this is outside of SLP, but investing in those projects that actually supplement what we're doing in SLP to create that thriving community, which is critical in terms of our sustainability pillars. Coming from COVID, there were interventions that we've made, and in that, we've also invested a further 38 million. So taking the total investment to date, or commitment, to over 800 million, which is just shy of R1 billion. Just to summarize, our SLP contribution covers various things, from us providing energy support. I've spoken about supporting in terms of providing water, skills development, and creating opportunities for our communities to participate in the CSI, which is outside SLP. We actually do a lot of training for small businesses on how to tender. We also partner with, through our Zimele, with partnership with ABSA to provide loans for our suppliers, so that as they get opportunities to participate in a procurement pipeline, they have the necessary funding to be able to execute their work. So, in closing, Chair, our view as a company, in line with our purpose of reimagining mining to improve people's lives, we look at SLP as part of our sustainability strategy to make sure that as our mine grow, the community develops, and the community economic development contribution grows as well. I'll pause here and take questions.
Thank you very much. Chairperson, may you take over? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that presentation. I think I'm going to give you an opportunity, in respect of what you were hearing today and yesterday, what your remarks are regarding what we have said about mining businesses and mining communities. Then I'd also want you to highlight the challenges you have observed in respect of how mining companies interact with mining communities, and how you would expect stakeholders to assist, and also the impact of illegal mining on formal mining, and how you would also want those changes to be implemented to ensure that the communities benefit at the end of the day. I will then ask the senior legal officer to ask a set of questions. Then I'm going to then ask the provincial manager, and in the interim, I'll just wait for you to respond to those questions, and then we'll take it further in that regard. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I'm glad the chair then gave direction in respect of the expected responses to the allegations that were put on the floor yesterday during the testimony from some of the witnesses. So maybe just to pinpoint some of the issues that we would want the response of the mine on. There was an indication that where the mine is having mining activities, particularly farm called Falkop, there was an allegation to say the mine doesn't have a lease to the effect. Kindly touch on that. Further, there was an allegation to indicate that the traditional leadership where the mine is operating is compromised, which is then giving rise to some of the challenges. When you respond on that, if you can just also outline per the mine's recognition, who is the traditional leader, who are you dealing with, and where where did that determination come from? We had Cockstar that was here, so tally it with what Cockstar had submitted as well. Also, there were issues raised relating to environmental concerns, spillage of waste from the mine, animals dying, the issues of rehabilitation of land. And with my own submissions, I did hint that on the ground there were complaints relating to the graves which were exhumed and then they have to be reburied. Just outline the process that Mokgalagwena mine has in place in that aspect. There was a concerning issue relating to chemicals on the concentrators, which are said to be deadly. In asking that, I'm also just hinting on your environmental assessments that you do. Is it Mokgalagwena's internal personnel doing these assessments and tests? Are these tests done regularly? Where are they being sent to? Who's then having a second review of these assessments if indeed there are environmental hazards in and around the area where the mining activities are occurring? I'll pause here for now.
Thank you. Thank you. I think I align myself with the questions that have been asked already, but I I wanted to find out from the presentation. You indicated that you have achieved for the first SLP, you achieved 93%. The second, okay, the first one is completed. The first one is completed. The second one is 93%. The third one is 73. Yeah? 27%. Okay. Then tell me, we are talking about this 100% achievement or 100% completion and all those things, but you're not telling us the first one was from this period to this period. The second one was from this period to this period, so that we can be in the position to measure that success. But maybe if you can share with us that information, we might have further questions. Then comes to obviously the complaints that we receive from the mine. We have been dealing with the mine for some time now. One of the issues that were raised was that the Mokgalagwena mine, Anglo Platinum, is not employing the local people. We engage with you. We even make proposals as the Human Rights Commission. Can you tell us, in terms of the percentage of your workforce, how many local people have been given job opportunity by the mine? The local people. Yes. We also raised the issue of the bursaries that your mine indicated that they do have bursary scheme. Can you tell us how many learners from Khalakwena, more especially Mapila, have been granted bursaries? We also look at the issue of the blasting that we have mentioned. One of the crises, more especially from the people who are residing at Leruleng and Skimming, their houses have been cracking, and the mining, your company distance itself from those from taking responsibility to fix those houses. I know that you have put some equipment around to measure the magnitude of the vibration, and you use that information to deny responsibility to fix those houses. More especially, I think this is from Leruleng. Then you also have, as a matter of fact, the Seritarita Secondary School. You paid a certain amount of money to the Department of Education to build a new school, so that the school can give you a space to do mining without violating the right to education. Then, my question is, we have a department. The agreement was that you are going to contribute. They were also going to contribute. The traditional leader in the area was going to give you land to build a school. See, that happened. That the agreement was reached in 2016-17, and we were part. That's why the reason why we are aware of that agreement is because we, as the Human Rights Commission, we wanted to know what you'll do with the school. The challenge is that every time when you want to blast, the school has to be closed. Learners have to be removed. Another issue with regard to Mkhalakwena, you will agree with me that you have the mining rights covering all those villages there, Leruleni, Skimming. You know that you have that right, and at the end, those people might be relocated somewhere. And we agreed with your management and the community that the process of relocating those people should start immediately, so that there is a proper engagement between the mine, the government, the municipality, the traditional leader, properly, without rushing. And because you know that you have the mining rights and you will end up removing those people, can I just find out if there's any process or any engagement that is taking place? Because there was also identified land just behind the mountain, that side, that you might build those people from Leruleni and Skimming, some maybe houses on the other side of the mountain, and the Hoshilanga was already agreed that, okay, people can move to that side, they have no problem. But I just want to know, have you started already with the engagement, or you are waiting to do you are going to do it in the last minute, where it will put pressure to our people, and then we'll have another protest from time to time? So I just want to know what you have done so far to resolve those challenges.
No, thanks, Madam Chair, for the questions. I want to put a disclaimer up front that in us preparing to come to the commission, there was correspondence between our attorneys and the commission in terms of the focus and scope of our submission today, given the time that we have been afforded, also given the fact that we had actually asked for an extension of time, which the commission duly declined. So I will, in terms of how we've read the response of the commission, will give brief answers on matters that do not relate to SLP, and offer to assist the commission with written responses to help the work of the commission. So as I go through such question, I'll just indicate that here we'll request that we provide more answers in writing. So that being covered, let me start with what we understand was raised yesterday as per your guidance, Madam Chair. Yes, our team were here and they did actually brief me on the complaint around Falcop, the lease, the leak. So let me say outright that we are aware of the environmental incident, which was a slurry delivery pipe leakage that occurred in May. And we also have engaged with the stakeholder, Mr. Dolo, as well as the broader community. We would like for completion and accuracy to provide the commission with a detailed response, which will cover what the mine did when that pipe leakage occurred in terms of what is required by law and what we've actually done in terms of what is required in terms of our social responsibility with the community, so that the commission has a full picture. I just want to highlight that the incident was a leakage from a pipe. There is no spillage from Falcop. There was no spillage from a tailings dam. In terms of another issue relating to, which was also iterated earlier around Siritarita and blasting, I want to highlight that we have never blasted inside 500 meters of Siritarita. We do have a protocol that we follow, and if that is also a specific question that the commission wants us to assist with, we can actually respond in writing, but I just want to make it clear outright that we do not blast inside 500 meters of Siritarita. So that is on that one. In terms of the lease at Falcop, again, we can provide any further detail that the commission requires, but I can confirm to the commission that the mine does have a lease in Falcop, along with 2 other farms in our mining area, Zwartfontein and Offeresel. And that lease at Falcop is valid for the life of the mine at Mogalakwena. When we respond with our in writing on Siritarita, we'll also highlight that the blasting that occurs at Siritarita, it is done in such a way that it does not disrupt schooling, but we'll actually provide that more completely, more accurately in writing. So I don't actually give half answers on this one.
Sorry. I'm not sure. We're talking about the 500 meters away from the school.
Correct.
Yes. And you are adding the issue that you will respond in writing. I will prefer the inspection in local before we finalize our report. And I will also prefer to engage with the community who knows what happened when you blast, because the allegations when you are doing blasting, it happened when we were there as the commission. I think Mankesi will agree with me. It happens when we were there. And it's not correct that it does not affect the school, because the school had to close on the date of the blasting. Our officials were there last week. It happened there.
Yeah,
And you are making a presentation under oath that it does not disturb the schooling process. It does not. They don't close the school when they do blasting. Is
So-
that correct?
So let me put it on record. I think where I was very clear is that we do not blast inside 500 meters of the school.
The closing of the school?
We'll have to respond to that in writing, so we actually deal with the specific incident. So we assist the commissioning, and that's why I've said I don't want to give half answers. To my earlier disclaimer, we were asked to.
Let me put this properly. We are talking about the regulation that said you must not blast inside 500 meters away from the residential area or from the school. We are putting it this way. But your honesty can assist us in trying to look at the policy to see if that 500 meters cannot be changed, because if you are blasting outside 500 meters but it's still affecting or is still affecting the school, it means that now the government must go back to the drawing board. Is this 500 meters appropriate, or we must increase it to 1 kilometer if it need be? That's the reason we are trying to build here. We are not, we don't want to distract anything. But if the policy is saying you can blast within 500 or outside 500 and you don't go into the 500 meters, and you are outside but it's still disturbing the learning process. So maybe the government, DMRC here also, can look at that 500 meters, whether it's the right distance. Because if you are outside and it's still disturbing the learning process, we need to do something about it. We can change the policy, or we can we can request the department to relook into that particular distance.
Thanks, Provincial Manager. Obviously, we'll welcome any improvement that makes everyone feel more comfortable with our operations. I think I made the point clear around 500 meters, but accept any suggestion in terms of how we make it better. Yeah. There was also a question around percentage of locals and foreigners that we employ. To my earlier answer, I do not have the statistics with me here. I do know that majority of the people that we employ at our mine are locals. However, we can provide those statistics to the Commission. On the graves, again, I will not speak to the specifics. I want to highlight that the grave relocation program that we are undertaking at Mogalakwena, it does actually involve us obtaining permits from the authorities. There's 5. We actually obtain approval or support from South African Police Services, the district health department, the municipality, South African Heritage Resource Agency, as well as Coxstar. So our process requires that we have all those 5 permits before we do the exhumation. If there are, again, specific complaints that have been raised that relate to specific incidents, we'll be glad to provide written response. But as a matter of process and principle, that's what we follow in terms of grave relocation. So the next one is the question from the provincial manager on the periods of SLP. So to the best of my understanding, SLP1 would have been the first 5 years. So I might be subject to correction in terms of SLP1, but I can confirm the exact date. But the second SLP ran until 2020, that is SLP2. This current SLP runs from 2021 to 2025. There is also a comment that you asked us to make in terms of our experience with communities and the challenges and the traditional leaders. I'll be reluctant to give an opinion on the recognition of traditional leaders. I don't believe that it is our space to recognize or not to recognize. What we have done, we've actually looked at what recognition has been given in terms of Coxstar, and we, as a business, try to align to that and not take a view on who we recognize. Engaging in environments where there's divisions, yes, does present challenge. However, how we've navigated is to stick to what or who is recognized, and we engaged. If I can give an example at Mapela, there's, to the best of my knowledge, around 42 villages under Mapela, with various headmen and headwomen. When we engage through the villages, we also engage at the senior leadership at Mapela Traditional Council. So that's how we approach the engagement, and some of the dispute we actually follow that traditional hierarchy from the MTC. There is also a question on the money that we contributed for the building of Siritarita. I think that was in SLP2. I have to say the agreement was for the department and the mine to co-fund the development of a school. The update I can provide the commission is that where we are now, having made that contribution, the mine is undertaking a project to construct a school that is outside of SLP. We are actually, as we speak, constructing a school, a temporary school with massive investment to cover the full cost of the school construction. And in terms of the plan going forward is to align the final destination, and I'll link it to the next question that the provincial manager made around relocation, to the place where the skimming and Lurulang villages are. And again, that is outside of SLP. So the building of the school, as we're approaching it now, it's an investment that the mine is making outside of SLP. So my colleague has just helped me to just close the loop, the gap on the early answers in terms of the SLP1 period. So SLP1 was from 2010 to 2015. 2 was from 2016 to 2020. And as I've already indicated, this one runs from 2021 to 2025, and it was approved last year. Provincial manager also asked a question on what we are doing around resettlement. I don't have a full prep on all the resettlement plans that the mine has. I can also, however, indicate that we are currently going through an engagement process with the community of skimming and relaying, which is a study on a possible resettlement. And that work will be completed in due course. There was also a question on what we're doing on the bursaries. We can provide the statistics in terms of the bursaries that we have extended to communities. We can provide that to the Commission, to assist the Commission. So the allegation around chemicals, would like to understand the incident and probably go back to the mine to collect information and respond to the Commission. I do not want to give you an opinion on that one. Unless if there's questions that I've not answered, I think I've tried my best.
Thank you so much. I think in your answering, you've also then given us a set of questions that we also would like to ask. When you're speaking about obtaining licenses to relocate graves, and it was something that was highlighted that the affected parties, the community members, are not consulted. In respect of that consultation process, who do you think has that responsibility? Is it the responsibility of the mine to consult the affected parties about the grave relocation, given the fact that in certain African practices that land or that gravesite holds a spiritual connection to the affected parties? So the question is, whose responsibility is it? Should it be the mines, or should it be government stakeholders who issue out these licenses and grant you permission to then participate in the grave relocation? Another aspect is that in respect of the SLPs, there was that conversation between ourselves and one of the municipalities that, mining companies pick from municipalities' IDPs and assist, and then those are adopted as per the SLPs. Can you just comment on that and what you would like to see? There's a lot of money that is given by mining companies to relevant stakeholders, and in some aspects to traditional leaders. Do you think that mining companies must monitor how it's used, because it comes from the coffers of the mining companies, and then have that report submitted to the relevant stakeholders? The last question is in respect of consultation and the documents that you provide communities. And it appears that, when the traditional leaders were consulting, that they do not know what mining activities take place. They're not aware of the SLPs. In respect of consultation, are you providing the people that you're consulting with a copy of the environmental management program or plan and the environmental impact assessment report, a copy of the prospecting or mine works program, which will tell you will tell the community members when and how and where the mining will take place. Of course, the copy of the social and labor plan, a copy of the prospecting right and mining right application, the copy of the water use license application. This was another concern that was raised. I think Mr. Tabejani spoke about it, that in Sekhukhune, they had water, and I'm not saying that you don't mind there, but what is your opinion, that mining companies come and affect their water usage as communities, which adversely affects them. So either the mine contaminates the water, or then they divert the water to the mine. A copy of the environmental authorization application or scientific reports that the mining company may have shown that impacts how the impact of the mining will be. Also, any social impact assessment, a copy of listed or a copy of interested and affected parties, as well as a copy of the consultation reports that you've undertaken, because there is that complaint that mining companies come in, make promises, but then in terms of the SLPs fail to fulfill those promises made to the communities. That is my aspect in respect of how we consult with communities and the information you provide them. Another aspect would be in respect of, you spoke about you're aware of an environmental incident. This is a leakage from a pipeline. How quick and what is the turnaround time with which your mine deals with environmental impacts and certain human rights violations? And this, we're not saying that there are, but of course, when there's a blast and the house cracks, how quick does the mine then resolve those issues, and how effective is it? Thank you. Senior Legal Officer, do you have any questions? Okay. PM, any questions?
Maybe one issue that I think the mind should also note is that as much as we understand that you have provided us with this information and you have made a presentation, I'm sitting here, I'm trying to crack my head to understand exactly whether what you are doing is responding to what our people want in Mapila, or you are minimizing the violation of human rights in that area. Because if you are saying that you have implemented 100% of your first social and labor plan, then the question is, why would we have so many protests in that area? And when we go there, we find that indeed there are issues there. And we engage with you from time to time regarding the violation of human rights. So we are sitting here at this level. Through the presentation, everything seemed to be okay. But what is happening on the ground is something different, not exactly what you are saying. For example, if there is an information that the commission have received that there is a leakage of a certain chemical that is dangerous, and the animals are dying and all those things, our understanding and the reason why we requested colleagues to have their own representative from day one was that when these issues are being raised, be prepared to answer those questions. What you have just said, you say, what we know about the incident is that we have complied. I think if somebody's sitting somewhere in Mapila because this thing is it's being shared, it's a live, there is a live broadcast that is happening, sitting in Mapila and listening to you, to what you are saying, then the challenge is, that person can have a lot of challenges. I believe, even if I'm not 100% sure, but I believe the person who made a presentation regarding Mapila yesterday, wherever he's sitting, if he's in the house, is very much worried. It's just that he might not have the opportunity to come and sit here and question. But here we are. They are saying that there is a chemical that link. You are saying that you have attended to it according to what the provision of the law and all those things. We agree with that, but you are not telling us what you did. We have attended to it. It does not say anything to us. Tell us that you send the inspectors to the area. This is the finding, to show that you have done something. But just to say we have attended to it, you are not assisting us at all. This is incident that can risk the life of our people. People can die as a result of that. And you have attended to it. Then the commission must just go with the word. We have attended to it. We have developed. We are not blasting less than 500 meters away from the school. But the school is being closed, you are aware of that. And I'm telling you from our own experience, because we have visited the school. So we are saying this is what is happening. We will respond in writing. We'll submit information in writing. That is really not assisting us here. We are sitting here, we want to hear the information from you, because these people who are listening, some of them are sitting here. When they leave this hearing, they must have a hope that Anglo Platinum take our issues seriously and they are doing something. But you are just unable to tell us, when you say you have attended to the issue of leakage of that chemical, what did you do? Attending to it, to me, it does not say anything, honestly. Because I received that as a complaint. And I'm sitting here from the human rights perspective. These people have the right to exist. We know that you have the right to do your mining, but you must coexist. What did you do in that? Maybe let us just pick up that incident. Not just we have attended to it. What happened? What did you do? What is the chemical that have leaked? How dangerous is that chemical? It will assist people to understand. They might not have a knowledge. They are not scientific. Our people are not sophisticated. But if you tell them that, don't worry, this chemical is not dangerous the way you think, but this is how we treat it, and you give us assurance, even if it's dangerous, you give us assurance on what you have done to protect the lives of our people and their own livestock. That is what we want, but you just say we are attending to it. I mean, can we provide information here? People want to hear whether that chemical is dangerous or not. What they should do, maybe if there is a need. Did you go out there and tell people what they must not do? Hey, tell us that after the blasting, this is what we did. Please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So let me start with the one on grave relocation. Who gets consulted? The process that we follow starts with the next of kin registering a grave, which then informs us that there is a grave that needs to be relocated. That's how the process kicks off. So that's the first consultation. It's consultation with the family or the next of kin. And the process also includes them doing affidavits, and then we go through the permitting process as I've described earlier. Even as, or once we get the permits, the next of kin again gets notified of the fact that we are ready to do the exhumation. So the grave relocation process focuses on the next of kin. Yes, there's broader information and consultation with the traditional authorities, but the process focuses on the next of kin, according to the family. On the SLP and IDP, I observed in the presentation made by the DMR area that there's a clear recommendation that when we include LED projects, particularly infrastructure projects, we try and align with the municipality IDP. I want to also bring it to the attention of the Commissioner that our objective is to ensure that whenever we implement infrastructure projects, they are sustainable, meaning someone needs to be able to maintain such infrastructure beyond the SLP period. And in this case, the municipality is the institution that does that. So aligning LED projects with IDP also helps with that alignment and integration with the plans of the municipality in terms of maintenance. Madam Commissioner, I'm not aware of examples where we've given money to government, but it might just be the limitation of my knowledge, so I would not actually comment on that one. In my presentation, I've indicated that once SLP commitments are made, there is a process where we first publish those commitments on our website. We translate the English version of those commitments to the dominant language. In this specific case of Mogalakwena, that language is Sepedi. We also put or distribute documents through print to various places, including the municipalities' libraries, to create as much awareness as possible to the public in terms of what the commitments are in the SLP. And that information, as you have seen in my slides, also indicate the budgets for each program. In our grievance management process, we have guidelines in terms of the first turnaround time and the conclusion period, and it's also linked to the criticality of an incident. So there's incidents that our guidelines says we should respond within 24 hours, and there's those that allow us to respond in 48 hours, and there is clear guidelines in terms of when we close the grievance. The process also allows for once closure if the stakeholders are not satisfied, an internal appeal process. So that is in terms of how we deal with the complaints and grievances in our mechanism. So, Provincial Manager, let me talk to the pipe leakage. It is true, we are aware that the incident occurred. We have, from a regulatory point of view, reported that incident to the relevant authorities. That's the first step that we've done. We have also engaged.
Please be open. Which authority?
I think it's Water, Department of Water and Sanitation. Yeah.
Can you also provide us with the proof that you have reported that in writing together with the other information?
We shall do that.
Okay, thanks.
We shall do that to help the Commission. In terms of the stakeholder that complained, Mr. Dolo was the stakeholder that complained through email. We have engaged, we have responded to Mr. Dolo. We have engaged Mr. Dolo on site on 2 occasions. We've also extended the engagement on that with the broader Khamolikane community on that. We have also, and these are the things that we'll actually provide in the written response, but to help the Commission and people here, we have also commissioned the test for the pond that was contaminated by the slurry to give assurance on the danger or the exposure for the animals. We have, through the engagement with Mr. Dolo and the committee, requested evidence of dead animals, and we'll show in the submission that we did not get that from Mr. Dolo or any member of the committee in those 2 engagements. We have also commissioned 2 veterinarians who actually went on the 2nd engagement to the community with a view to, in terms of their practice, to do tests on animals, if that was provided. And when we provide you the feedback, if their reports are back, we'll also include that. But those are the steps that we have taken to address the concern. From the initial water samples, the initial feedback we got was the water was not dangerous to the extent that the water would make animals sick or them die. That's the first big feedback that we got from the water samples. In terms of the submissions of whether it's EIAs, I think we comply with the regulations in terms of the requirements. I won't comment on specific because we do quite a number of this, but I think what I would like the Commission to know is that we comply with the regulation. Obviously, if there's any improvement identified in terms of the regulation and the process, we will welcome that as the mine. I think, Madam Commissioner, I've answered everything that I think I had.
Thank you so much. PM, any questions? Are you covered or do you have? Oh.
Maybe just in closing, because the PM tried to elicit the standpoint, as also the reason why we are having this inquiry. If you could just, in summary, why are people complaining? You have painted a picture. There is compliance, different percentages on the SLPs. Why do people in these communities, particularly Mapila, keep on going to doors, public protector? I'm just giving an example now, but with us, they keep coming to the commission. Why? Why, in your opinion, why are they doing this if the mine is doing as you are indicating it's doing?
May I ask, in terms of the submission that you've made in respect of, you've requested evidence from the stakeholder that reported the water contamination issue. I think the Human Rights Commission, in the complaint that they received pictures of dead animals. Can you comment on that? Because you're saying that you've not received, but the Commission has received evidence of that. Were you not furnished with that? Or can we then inspect an inspection in local? But also in your written submission, can you provide us with that report about the water in respect of the contaminated pond? But also, once you received that report, were you then able to engage further with the community and say, look, this is the evidence we have received. You're more than welcome to go and consult with the stakeholder in respect of the report that we have submitted to you. And in respect of communicating with community members, are you doing it in a way that is easy for them to understand? Or is it just submissions of technical reports that make it very difficult for community members to engage with you guys? Engage the mining companies and your representatives regarding that, the contents of that information. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Madam Commissioner. Can I respond? Thank you. The first question, why people are complaining, I'll hesitate to give an opinion. What I do want to say to the Commission, though, is we would definitely like to see the kind of complaints, because they may actually help us reflect and improve on certain things. So we'd rather really look at what the complaints are, and on doing investigation, look at that opportunity to improve. On the dead animals, I did say that once we had received the email, we did not only reply, we actually asked our colleagues that would deal with grievances to have a site meeting with Mr. Dolo. And one of the first requests that they made from the first meeting is to be directed to those cows that are dead or the carcasses, as it may be. We did not get that at the first engagement. We had a follow-up engagement where 2 vets were also invited. Even in that engagement, that evidence of dead animals was not presented, and we had actually requested that. So if the commission has evidence of dead animals, would be keen to see those, but from our interactions with Mr. Dolo and with the community, we did not actually see that.
Maybe just maybe to respond to just to confirm that what my colleague have asked, and you are indicating that you won't be in the position and you don't know why those people are complaining. Maybe I want to put it on record, maybe the following. They are complaining about the air pollution in the area. When you are blasting, there is a dust that goes up like a cloud, covering the whole area. Number 2, the people of Skimming and Ruling, they are complaining about the closure of the school when you want to blast as a mine. And they are complaining that the right to education is being violated for their children. Number 2, they are complaining about the water contamination of groundwater in the area. Number 4, they are complaining about their houses cracking as a result of the blasting. Number 5, they are complaining about being excluded from the community trust, where they don't know where the contribution of the mine goes to or who's using that money. Back then in 2015, your mine indicated that they have the money is with one of the law firm in Johannesburg. It's an amount of more than 400 million back then in 2015. It's in the trust account. Then the then Minister of Minerals and Energy indicated that money can only be accessed if there is a committee that has been formed, community, I'm not sure whether it's community what. The minister indicated that the money is there. When he presented that, I think he was part and parcel of the meeting at Mukukalakwena municipality chambers. He even indicated that for us to unlock that money, we need to have community represented properly in the structures. So that is about the representation of the community and the money that has been, that the community was told that is there. It was made public. It is also there. It was also there on the TV all over. Those are some of the issues, the removal of the grave. When you say, I'm sitting here, I'm listening, when you say to me, you don't know why these people are complaining. I mean, it's surprising because even when we write to the mine, we disclose the allegations. So you can't sit here and tell us that you don't know why these people are complaining. We have told you through our letters. The community told you through the meetings. So you know why those people are complaining. Maybe what we are supposed to do was to respond to those allegations. If they are saying the school is not, you are in fact you have given us a different version from what we have said, but you understand why they are complaining. As to why they are complaining, I don't think it should be an issue. They are complaining because of the issues that they raised with you. They also raised with us. We wrote you letters to confirm that these are the allegations. Some of the issues you have resolved them. I can give you an example of the issues that you have resolved. The improvement, why we don't have protests in Mapila today, is because you are now, I've been told is that you are employing local people, but you don't have the states now. That's why we have minimized, through the intervention of the task team, you have minimized the protest because you have managed to employ local people, something that was not done before the intervention of the Human Rights Commission. So we know what you have done, but you came here, you are not prepared to give us that information. So we need an honest engagement. That is the only way where the Human Rights Commission will be able to also to share its views, also to make contributions so that you improve your relationship with your community. Thank you.
No, I think I've noted what the comments that the provincial manager has made. So any improvement we welcome, and I think that's the message that I want to leave with the Commission. To your initial comments, we are also wanting to join hands with everyone in any effort that makes the experience of our communities better. Our purpose of reimagining mining to improve people's lives direct us to looking for improvement in the way things are done. We would just want to use the feedback that we get from you, from other stakeholders, to look at where we can participate in the improvement.
Thank you very much. You see, when the facilitator is standing, she's saying that we have gone overboard. Thank you so much for your engagement and how you've responded to the questions. We will look forward to those additional written submissions within 7 business days. I think I'm just going to give you an opportunity if you have any closing remarks to make. If you don't have any closing remarks to make, then you are duly excused from the podium. Thank you so much.
I think I just want to say we appreciate the opportunity to appear before the Commission, and where we can help the Commission, we are willing to do so. Hence, we've made the commitment to provide more information in writing. Would have preferred more than 7 days, 2 weeks would be better. We'll still make that request to the Commission. Thank you.
It's going to be 7 days, but I think that there was a request that we make an inspection in local, but that we will then discuss with yourselves through the senior legal officer so that we can just confirm those issues that the blasting does not affect the learning activities of these schools in the nearby area. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Thank you very much, Mogalakwena, Platinum Mine. May I get an indication if I can invite the CEO of Samanco, who will be coming in for the 2 mines, Luala and Jar. I can't call this name, please don't laugh at me. I've been struggling for the days that I've been trying to call it. Yeah. So also can I find out from the chairperson if they can take the 2 mines at once, because seemingly the presenter is one and the presentation also is one.
I think when we received the presentation, it was the 2 mines in one. They can proceed in making those submissions, and then we'll take it from there. They may then come forward.
Thank you very much. Please come to the podium.
Good afternoon, sir. I think before you come in, I just want to thank you for, as the CEO, to come and represent the mine, both mines, and acknowledge that your presence here has been acknowledged and noted. Thank you so much. Again, sir, would you be taking an oath or an affirmation?
The oath, please.
Thank you. Do you swear that the evidence you're about to give is, to the best of your knowledge and belief, the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Do you have any objection in taking the prescribed oath?
No.
Do you consider the prescribed oath to be binding on your conscience?
Yes.
Please raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
So help me God.
The podium is yours, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson and the panel. It's an honor and a privilege to be representing Samancor Chrome at this inquiry. With a lack of detailed information about what the complaints was before we got here, we prepared a slide presentation as a summary of the information that we would assume was required. Yesterday I heard some of the complaints related to these two operations of ours, which is mainly regarding alleged blasting damage, alleged noise and dust pollution, also alleged non-compliance on the SLP projects. I'm sure during the discussion we can have a bit more detailed about those specific allegations. It's not a problem, and if I don't have all the information, we will get back to you in that regard. I would like to start off to say that at Samancor, our vision is to be a respected leader in mining, processing innovatively to the benefit of our people, our communities, and our country. And for me, in that vision, there's two important words. As a respected leader, it's someone that someone can look up to, where the communities can look up to us as being responsible. The second important one is for our communities, because we believe in the benefiting of our communities in our operations, local beneficiation. And these are also guided by our values. And I'm not going to touch on all our values because it's not in the presentation. But one of them is zero harm, and that zero harm is not only to the safety of our employees, but also to the environment and the communities. The second important one is accountability, is that we will take accountability and fix things if something is not right. And I think the other important one from a value perspective is responsibility, doing the right thing when no one is watching. And for us, that is encapsulated in our integrity value. And all our decision making are done on this basis. And I think that has made us successful in our operations. So thank you for the invite and thank you for the time to clarify some of the allegations which we became aware of yesterday. But please allow me a bit of time to give you some background on the presentation side. Apologies, Madam Chair. Okay, my presentation will encapsulate basically a few aspects. We will touch base on your social and labour plan. I will touch base on the process we followed in getting to the social and labour plan, and also on the performance side on our social and labour plan to these two specific sites. We also included some of our other operations, which I'll just jog through, but in not wasting too much of the Commission's time, that will be brief. I will touch base on the social and labour plan, basically three aspects. One is the LED projects and the completion of the LED projects. The second one is on our HRD side, where we committed to communities in terms of internships, learnerships and bursaries, just to give you the Commission an update in that regard. And thirdly, also on what we are doing on the procurement side with regards to local community empowerment, whether it is ESD or ring fencing or specific opportunities to our local partners within our communities. I'll touch base on the mining operations of these two operations, what was done there, also on some of the blasting analysis and also vibration analysis. I'll touch base on the environmental side, specifically focusing on dust and noise, as was requested from the Commission side in their letter received. And then also finally just give an update on what we do when we do get community complaints, what we have in place, and what process will we follow. Just as a high-level summary, Chrome, in our eastern operations, we have 8 operations, which is linked to various mining rights. We have Luala, Jaglist, Doornbos, our Lennox operation, Tweefontein, Skeiding, and Dwars River mining right, and also Spitkop, which spans from our Tweefontein operations in the southern side to the Jaglist operations in the most northern side. Within these operations, we employ 2,000 people full-time and also 2,000 contractors assisting us in these operations. So we're also a big value driver in these communities. The 2 specific requests and feedback that was received was on our Jaglist operation and our Luala operation, which we will go into more detail. I think if we have a look at the stakeholder engagements, we were also the holder of some old order mining rights that were converted into new order mining rights as per the MPRDA, and as the advocate earlier also explained that process, where then the SLP processes came into action. We engage various community structures in where we operate. Specifically to these areas, we engage Roko Mashishi Traditional Authority, which is the Mashishi community, the Pokone Bamanyaka Traditional Authority, which is the Manyaka community. We also have the Magadimaona Ntweng Traditional Authority, or Magakala, Nareng Tokwani, the Kwetes, and also Roko Mashabela Traditional Authority, Mashabelas. In terms of our Mashishi and Manyaka, this is at our Luala operation, and I'll get to a bit more detail just now on the breakdown. The Manyaka and Mashishi has dual authority and jurisdiction over these 2 areas, and where we have a lease agreement in place, specifically on the farm Clapham and the Forest Hill, where there were plough fields historically, and we also have a lease agreement in place for these open cast operations. To date, we have contributed 149 million, and I'll get to a slide background later, slide later on the crop fields compensation and also on the livelihood restoration process linked to our lease agreement to these 2 traditional councils and structures, and upon the mining right which was granted in 2013. I think what is important to note is that although the mining right has been granted in 2013, mining operations started quite later on due to some legal issues, also permitting on the water use license side that took some time, and then also due to illegal mining that took place originally. Those have been sorted, but we have stayed committed to our agreements with the communities, even during the process where we were not mining yet. Just a further breakdown is the values. You will see that the crop field payments in total amounts to 29 million over this period. Small CSI contributions of about 75,000 in terms of security, and also part of our lease agreement, let's call it livelihood restoration, a total of 119 million, taking it to 149 million to the 2 traditional authorities, the Mashishis and the Manyakas, on the specific Luala operation. If we have a look at our SLP projects, our first generation project, we committed to create an entity where there will be yellow machines and crushing and screening facilities donated into this entity, operated by the communities as part of our livelihood creation program. This was completed as we speak. This project is still operational on other mines on our side as well, and also as we have restarted the Luala operations recently, also back on that operation. From the second generation bulk water infrastructure and development refurbishment process from 2018 to 2022. The beneficiaries in this project include the communities listed as in the slide, which is the Magakala and the Mashabela communities. The project includes the drilling and equipping of boreholes, the building of reservoirs, and the installation of some of the pipes. We are fairly close to completion of this project, and the reason for the main delay in the completion of this SLP was basically due to the COVID period in 2020, and has also been such communicated to the DMRE, where we have submitted, as per the process, a catch-up plan, and this should be done by the end of this year in totality. Our newest one, which is our third generation bulk water infrastructure development and refurbishment project on the Luala side, has been approved last year. We have already started with that process. The beneficiaries include the Matadi, Magabaneng and Mandachake villages, and it also includes the drilling of boreholes, reservoirs, and reticulation to the community standpipes. I'll give some further update in the next slides regarding specific projects on the Luala side as well. From the CSI point of view, we also provided assistance with the COVID-19 participation and donation of masks and sanitizers to the community. We also had a draft relief water project at the Kwetes, the Mashishis and the Manyakas. The generic engineering training programs, which I'll also touch base on just now in our HRD numbers, which includes operative training as well, and also yellow machine training programs, which is done by our contractors. From a community engagement point of view, Semanco Chrome revised our community engagement structure back in 2020, 2019, because we saw it is important to properly engage with our local stakeholders. We embarked on a proper stakeholder mapping process and created this department solely responsible for stakeholder management and engagement, which is under the leadership of Joe Mokwari, which is also in attendance from Semanco Chrome point of view. These engagements are held on a quarterly basis and on an ad hoc basis as is required if there is specific issues to be discussed, where the Corporate Affairs Department will be the secretariat. And the purpose of these engagement meetings is to inform both the internal and external stakeholders on the progress made on our social and labour plans, if there was any issues that's experienced, to explain, and the plans to address those, and also additional pertinent issues that is raised by external parties. These engagements include, but is not only limited to, information on employment opportunities, skills training initiatives, and support for the community social initiatives, but also to engage business structures and unemployment forums from these specific communities. Just from a stakeholder engagement point of view, the two mines in question, our Luala mine, the interested parties is listed there, as you can see, while the affected parties are the Mashishis, the Manyakas, also the Nareng, Tokwane community. Our authorities where we work through is obviously the ward councillors, the traditional councillors, the councils, and also the Feta Khomo to Batsi local municipalities. On the Yachtlist side, the interested party side is the Limpopo Headman Association, Royal Paperi Nation Trust, and also other concerned groups. While the affected parties are Barokaba and Nkwana, and we have also a GEMSEF engagement forum on that side, which we engage. I think what is challenges here is the lack of continuity because of a lot of changes within these structures, which make it difficult, meaning there is no continuity and sustainability necessarily, and means there's retraining required, also explanation required, and also challenges regarding the accountability mechanisms for these forums within the communities. Those are just some of the challenges, including the mushrooming of parallel community structures that has a negative effect on the efficiency of these engagements. I've included also just a slide. It's not relevant to this one, so I'm just going to jump through the completed SLP projects on our Doornbos mine, our Lennox mine, and the Tweefontein mine in the past SLP program. And I've included some slides on pictures with the handovers, which includes electrification of 400 houses, provision of classrooms and refurbishment of schools, etc., etc. The two specific ones under question, if I can move over to that, is basically our Luala mine and our Jaglis mine. Our bulk water infrastructure on the Luala side, that is nearing completion, as we've indicated earlier. Slight delay due to COVID during 2020. And also our new project, which is the bulk water infrastructure supply project. We've already done the demand studies in order to commission the final engineering design, and we are in engagement with the Water Authority in terms of necessary permitting in that regard. On the Jaglis mine, we also have a bulk water infrastructure project on the go that will benefit the Jibing village and also Mashikane village. And the delay on this one due to COVID, obviously, is one. And the second one is it was originally planned for specific communities, which had to be changed in that regard. Also, our school infrastructure project is slightly delayed. Both of these projects will be completed by the end of this year. We are on track for that, as committed to the DMR in our catch-up plan. And the reason for our school infrastructure project lagging behind is it is actually replacing another project that was intended on a guest house, which the community decided to change. We had to do a section 102, as the DMRE indicated. It took a bit of time, but we will still finish that one also in this year. Road gravelling is ongoing, also on schedule to be done by November. And our new water infrastructure project has just been approved for the third generation. The skating mine is not relevant for this specific discussion, but it's also one of our mining operations to the north, which we are busy in the procurement phase to finalize. I've included just the other SLP commitments for our new SLP round on the other mining rights, but it's not relevant due to the Jaglis and Luala mining operations itself. From an HRD point of view on our Luala mine, since inception in 2013 to now, we have trained 86 learnerships, provided learnerships at our training centers, Kapuka training centers. We've also did adult training, 75, artisans aids and skills and generic engineering training, 1,563 individuals. We have 6 bursaries allocated to that community and done and in place, and also 15 internships. As part of the portfolio of evidence, this can also, all of that can be provided as in our file and that side. If we have a look at the HRD side on our Jaglis mine, we have 352 learnerships trained in that regard, which is in line with our commitment on our SLP. Also on the adult education side, 155. Artisans aid skills and generic engineering training, 30. Bursaries, 13 allocated, and also internships, 7 allocated, which is in line with our SLP commitments to those communities. From a procurement point of view, we have embarked on making it easier for local communities to participate in our procurement practices and processes on sites. We have changed our procurement process to an electronic platform, which is accessible to all individuals and all local businesses. The communication regarding this system has been done, and also we provide training to local businesses in order to encourage SMMEs to get business opportunities within our operations on these sites. We have also developed a 6-point enterprise and supply development program, which is assisting SMMEs and capacitating and developing them to ensure that they can qualify for procurement opportunities, and that ranges from training to do proper scoping and budgeting, and also obtaining technical skills. For example, on our Jaglis mine, when we did the rehabilitation post the illegal mining, we forced the local community to partner with a technical partner to transfer technical skills so that they can in future then go for these type of opportunities themselves. We also identify ring-fenced opportunities for our local SMMEs, which we ring-fence to local communities. And also then from a database, developed database for all local SMMEs and businesses that is approached for every RFQ that goes out for that specific operation. In our portfolio of evidence, we've included our approved social and labor plans, which is also available on our website as per the requirement in the various languages. We've included our SLP endorsement letters from the Fetagomo local to Batsi local municipality. The annual social and labor plan reports that was submitted to the DMRE and also the catch-up plans in that regard. The closure reports and also the acknowledgement by the DMRE side, and also the signed contracts or copies of contracts on the skills development program and of the candidates involved in that regard. And then also proof of projects that was handed over already. From a mining point of view, Jaglis was rehabilitated after severe illegal mining took place. This illegal mining took place before the mining right was granted to Semanco. When we eventually got the mining right due to delays in legal issues, etc., we did the mining and rehabilitation by trackless machinery or mobile machinery. Within any 500-meter radius to any structure, no blasting is done. We use eccentric rippers. I'll show you a photo how we do it at the end later in that regard. And outside of the 500-meter radius, blasting was done. But this is more a rehabilitation process as agreed with the DMRE while we are finalizing the feasibility study for the underground operations to start. So I know at some stage there was allegations done that mining was done by some man closer than 100 meters to houses. It was definitely not done by us, but there was definitely illegal mining close to houses done prior to us going there. Just a summary of the mining methods, just to show the Commission what is utilized in this when we talk about this. The material is broken and then loaded and hauled to designated areas. That is just a photo of the eccentric ripper, which we utilize within a 500-meter radius. So no blasting is done in that regard. Rehabilitation is done concurrently as the mining is done, as also explained by the DMRE, which is a preferred rate. And the material breaking is done by free digging, the rippers as there, and also pickers. From a blasting point of view, vibrations are limited to 25 millimeter per second, which is a guideline for the mortar houses. And an air blast, which is more for windows, etc., limited to 134 decibels to public structures. We do professional blast designs by external third party and the mining crews. And during all of these processes, seismographs get placed at the relevant stations and is measured in order to ensure that we don't exceed these standards. There's just a few pictures of the typical blast designs done by a third party, expert party, and then also just the typical monitoring reports that we receive, which we try to compile into a graph to make it easier for the Commission to look at. So the blast data is interpreted by the blast designers to ensure that the blast is designated and cater for specific considerations in terms of topography and also local structures. And the monitoring results are kept by the service providers and copies to us. This is just the Jaglis vibration results. The red line is the guideline in terms of 25 millimeters per second. And you can see that we are well below that from a vibration point of view on the Jaglis side. I must point out that Jaglis operations is currently on care and maintenance since 2022, while the final designs on the underground mining is completed. This is just the air blast results. Also, you will see it is below the 136 decibels from that information point of view. So from a structural damage point of view, we don't expect any challenges in this regard. This is the extension for Jachtlust. You will see from the extension point of view, it's just the 2 pits that was done and rehabilitated. No concerns in terms of potential exceedances, in terms of vibrations, and also on the air blast side below the limits for the extension portion of Jachtlust. If we move over to on the Luala side, our open cast operations, as I indicated, since 2013 was granted the mining right, but we had a few challenges in delays of water use licenses, etc. We started mining during 2018. And we stopped mining in 2023 due to the resource that was depleted, and we started with the underground portal establishment. The northern pit towards the north is more than 500 meters from the public structures, so blasting takes place in our northern pit. While the southern pit was closer than 500 meters, that was one of the complaints that was also raised yesterday, but we can clarify it later. In this area, we never blasted. We only used eccentric rippers in order to get the ore mined. Our underground portals commenced during February of this year, and that falls in within the 500-meter radius of structures. In order to get approval to do this blasting, community engagement needs to be done, upon which the MR will only give approval. If there's no community engagement and consent, that will not be approved. All the other blast was done and in the specified limits. If we have a look at the vibration data and the results for Luala mine since its inception in 2018, we can't find any exceedances of the 25 millimeter per second issue from that point of view, and neither on the air blast percussion results for Luala since its inception. Also, if you have a look at the average of the blasting data, it is well below the limits within what is expected. If we have a look at the environmental side, specifically dust and noise, we follow the regulatory process to get approval on both our NEMA scoping and environmental impact assessment processes. I'm not going to go through all the detail as it is a regulated process. What I can point out is that this requires specialist studies of various types. It requires public participation processes within the communities. It also requires that the findings of these public participation or the studies and also the approvals needs to be communicated back to the communities in that regard. Just a high level, what this includes is basically a biodiversity and impact assessment, a noise impact assessment, air quality impact assessment, and also a traffic management assessment. Also, aquatic biodiversity assessment will be done by the third parties. Visual impact, financial provision and closure commitments is assessed. Heritage impact assessments are done. And also from the water point of view, hydrological modeling and impact assessments. Geotechnical classifications and risk assessment is done, and also obviously the socioeconomic impact assessment. Waste classification is also followed to ensure that no harmful waste is stored in an inappropriate way. This is just the ownership of the surfaces. I'm not going to go into detail, but in areas where we don't have the ownership, we go into lease agreements in order to get access to that areas. But on this process, on the Jachtlust mine, we only mined or rehabilitated in our owner's surface areas, and just a proof of the water use license and the environmental management plan process, and also the EIA as a reference number and dates. Just as an indication of where our Jachtlust mine is located, it's right to the north. Our closest community is Diepeng, which is the closest community to our Jachtlust operations. and also indicated the other mines in that area. I would just like to highlight, as I indicated, Jabeng is our closest mine to our Jaglas operations, 3.5 kilometers roughly from there. Obviously, mentioned in the notices to us was Gapasha and Gamampa villages, which is 11 and 12 kilometers away from this operation. So impact from that Jaglas operation on those two communities is not possible in my view. I have indicated also that regard the Jaglas operations was severe illegal mining before we got the mining right in that regard. On the Luala mine side, just a detailed who's the surface owner. It's basically held in trust by the government, and that's where we have the lease agreements in place. Just a short summary on the water use license, which you can utilize and have a look at, and also the environmental management plans and programs. Just to put it in terms of position, where our Luala mine is situated, it's right in the center of this picture. You will see that the closest community in this regard is the Marikani village, which is that community which I referred to, which is closer than 500 meters in the southern pit of our Luala mining operations, and then also just indicating the Marula mine in that area. Just an idea of how close we are. Then the Marikani village is 250 meters, as I indicated before, and that's where we utilize the rippers. From the environmental monitoring protocols point of view, dust monitoring points have been identified by experts and also installed and on site. We do the dust monitoring, I'll tell you later as well, on a monthly basis, and then the noise on a biannually basis, as also stipulated in our environmental management programs and certificates or permits allocated to us. So monitoring is conducted on a monthly basis, as I've indicated. We also reduce low speed to roads on haul roads. We do dust suppression in general, and that is also changed as the season changes because the weather conditions change sometimes, which whether it's wind or rain or drought. So we also change the wetting of the roads in that regard. And the clearing is only limited to areas which we intend exposing. The noise monitoring is done on a semester basis, as guided by our EMPR. This is just a summary of what we have in place on the protocol side, our internal protocols on the Eastern Crow mines, where we do environmental communication and complaint handlings, our environmental aspects, and then the various management plans we have in place to address these issues. As indicated, dust monitoring is done monthly, noise monitoring twice a year, and also the costing and closure on an annual basis. We've indicated just the dust monitoring points on Jaglas point of view. Not going to go into detail on all of them. Indicated where the Jabeng village is located, also on our site or close to our site. And then also included in your packs. It seems like I'm pressed for time. I won't go through all the detail then. Just the results from the dust monitoring fallout points of view. There's no real major issues in this regard. I can go to the summary just to speed it up. And I think everything is below the limits except for 3 months. I must point out, as I've indicated, this mine is on care and maintenance since 2022, and one of the dust fallout buckets in August 2023 is high. So it also points to the historic illegal mining and also obviously the winds and gravel roads in the area. So from a dust point of view, there's no major issues in our view on the Jaglas point side. On the Luala, we commenced mining in 2018 and stopped earlier in this year. The dust monitoring layout or network has been changed a few times on advice from advisors, because initially it was put in the wrong places within the limits. Then we had to move it to outside of the limits or on the boundary of our mining operations to test. more accurate numbers. So I will not go into all the details, but this is, you'll see in your packs, there's 2 slides of where the dust buckets are located initially, and then the revised one, and also in relation to where the communities are. Okay. Okay. So from a dust, let me just go to the summary a minute. We've found exceedances initially during the startup of the mining operations. That was during the period where the dust buckets were located within the mining premises. After detailed reports and engagement with the special advisors, we moved it outside. We also increased the frequency of our wetting of the roads to eliminate that dust, and also utilized the suppressant to do dust binding, and also changed the clearing activities to minimize the impact on the dust fall outside. I'm not going to go into the details of all the noise monitoring points and all the noise results. All I can point out is that both day and night, as a summary, noise analysis was within specifications. We used the rural and industrial district limits to assess the data from 2018 and 2023. For both Luala and Jachlist, we were compliant for day and nighttime industrial limits. We did have one complaint on the Luala side, of the Jachlist side, when we were to do some mining with rippers, that there was too much noise and dust, and that mining was then abandoned at that stage from that block. Just from a complaints handling point of view, I've promised to say something about the complaints handling point of view. We normally get group complaints, either individual complaints or accompanied by authorities, whether the DMRE or so. We have a protocol in place where all the complaints are approached with open arms. We have a complaint book at the gate where it's laid. It's then directed to the relevant department, whether environment or specific community-related issues. We investigate these complaints immediately to evaluate what the reasons are and in order to address them. And then also the investigation results is shared with the complainant. If there's any or unhappiness about it, it's raised to a higher level to be addressed in our transformation manager position side. Okay, that is then the end of my presentation, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Chairperson, please take over the questioning.
Thank you very much for that presentation. I think I would like a response to the engagements we received from and the community engagements that we received yesterday, specifically from Mr. Pasha and Mr. Torejane, regarding the 2 mining operations in that community. Then I'm going to then hand over to the senior legal officer as well as the provincial manager. And in the interim, I'll just pause on my set of asking questions, wait for your response, then I'll take it from there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, CEO and Chair. CEO, just wanted to get your view and response in relation to the mine's relationship with the local municipality, in this case, towards a municipality, towards a municipality, and also the traditional leadership within the mining communities, and the effectiveness of the engagement forums that the mine employs when the mine wants to communicate with the community. And there was testimony yesterday on household inconvenience allowance, which is afforded to households that are close are in close proximity to some of the mines, in particular here, Luala, since Yaklas is not in operation at the moment. Just outline that who determines the amount. Is it after consultations with the community? Is it something that is pre-agreed on, or it's just a determination from the mine? Lastly, the Yaklas, in its first cycle, the cycle of the SLPs, it was issued with a Section 29 notice. Maybe you did mention it, maybe I missed it, but I just want to know what was done after that notice was issued. I just want to connect the dots on that.
Yeah, I think I was very much interested on the issue of payment. Yeah, also, I think that is what, it was just ringing in my mind, the whole, from yesterday when we were told that people get paid. I think 800, yeah. Maybe you will just provide us the details as to how it works. And again, I think one of the reasons why we invited you is that there are houses that are cracking. And as a result of the blasting, and we have been informed by one of the complainants who decided not to come in the last minute. I don't know what that complainant had been offered, but we were so shocked that after we engaged that, okay, you will come and give the evidence. Immediately after, just 2 days before the hearing, or a day before the hearing, it was on Friday when he indicated, last week. So yeah, but he immediately withdrew, said that, okay, my problem had been resolved. When we investigate a bit further, we realized that this complainant is also working for the mine. But he lodged a complaint with us regarding his house that is cracking because of your blasting. I would like to know your relationship, if you are aware of that situation, of that complainant. But I must also indicate that I also want to know about your relationship with the traditional leaders in that area. More especially, I think it's Luala Mine. Yeah. How is your relationship with the traditional leaders? Because there are also accusations that traditional leaders are very much close to the mine. And even if the community members raise their concern with the mine, instead of addressing their concern, they will be addressed through the traditional leader who will suppress them and all those things. So how is your relationship with the traditional leaders? And what is happening with this payment of 800 rand? What is this for? How did you arrive into that amount? And is that monthly? I think we were told that it's monthly, regardless of the number of blasting that can happen in a month. I'm not sure if what is that payment for. But maybe after you have if you can respond to that, we'll then have a further engagement.
Thank you, panel members. On the first question regarding the relationship with the local municipality and the traditional councils or houses, I would like to believe that with our structure that we've implemented, we have a very good relationship. From time to time, we have differences, obviously, but I think we are mature enough to resolve those. But in summary, I think we enjoy a good relationship with the local municipality and also our traditional leaders or traditional councils in that area. think on the question from the effectiveness on the engagement structures, I think the structures that we have in place is working well for us. We meet on a quarterly basis to give feedback. I believe communication is extremely important so that there's no misunderstanding, and I think that is what helps in making it more effective in that regard. There is challenges every now and then which we resolve, and I think what additional challenges is these parallel structures that also jump up within communities, which makes it a bit more challenging sometimes, but overall I would say I'm fairly happy with the effectiveness of these engagement structures and the frequency that they meet. On the provincial manager's question of the payment and also on the chairperson, I think what is important is that perceptions can always run wild. We did engage, I stand to correct, 89 houses which fell within the 500-meter blast radius of the south pit of Luhala. That is a consultation process with all of these households, where we started off to offer 800 rand for every time we want to blast and they vacate houses. We will assist in taking them out to a safe space where we will provide cover, etc., etc. And eventually we ended up at 2,000 rand per every time we need to vacate the house. So everyone accepted, except 5 households. As a result of that, we abandoned that proposal and then rather resorted to using rippers in the southern pit, where we cannot then blast. Obviously, this is more expensive mining because it's not the preferred option, but that's the way we went then, because we couldn't get consensus on the last 5 households in that regard. On the Section 29 that was issued on the yachtless mining right, as you indicated, as also indicated by the DMRE, it's the process. We did receive that. We did submit our action plan within the timelines, and we are complying to that as far as my knowledge is concerned. Otherwise, I can guarantee you when the DMR comes back, that's one thing that they come and do, and they can evaluate the implementation of that. And for us, the risk of losing a mining right is just too big. And I need to also state, for us, it's not just about compliance. We go further than compliance. It's not a tick box exercise for us in that regard. On the complainant of the cracked house, I'm not aware of this specific case. I can guarantee you I did not engage the specific individual. I don't know why she's not here or he's not here. But I would like to encourage her to let's get in contact if there's still an issue on our Corporate Affairs and Transformation Department. We will definitely have a look at it. What we normally do is if we do receive a complaint regarding a house that's cracked, we send our team out with also a structural engineer to go and evaluate and determine whether it is due to blasting or what the reason is, and feedback is given in that regard. But if that person is again in contact with the Human Rights Commission, please encourage her to even contact myself to go and see it personally. What's the issue? The last one, if I have it correctly, is regarding the relationship with the traditional leaders. In my view, we have a good relationship with the traditional leaders. Myself, I meet many of them on a frequent basis to ensure that the relationship is done and kept in good state. especially on the Luala side, the Mashishis and the Manyakas, for example, but also on our other communities. For us, it is more a personal issue than anything else, but we keep it professional. So I don't know what the allegations is, but there's no backhands from our side.
Thank you so much. I think one of the questions and something that you've mentioned in your presentation is the impact of illegal mining on one particular mining site. Perhaps if you, just explain further the impact it has had, whether DMRE has come to your assistance by opening cases with the police, and as well as the fact that have you, on your own accord, opened cases with the police? You've also mentioned that specifically this mine is under care and maintenance. Are there preventative measures taken by the mining company yourselves to prevent further illegal mining? In respect of Mr. Pasha's allegation that there is still dust coming from that particular mine, I know that you heard it yesterday, but you've spoken about specific measures that the wetting of the roads and the dust binding, is it also taking place in that particular area of the mine? In respect of, and I'm going to refer to Mr. Pasha again because he specifically mentioned these two mines, in respect of SLPs, were the communities engaged? And perhaps can we have evidence of how far you are with some of these SLPs? Because you've just summarized them in your presentation as well as your written submissions. Lastly, you've given us a portfolio or profile of evidence in respect of the complaints. And you said that the complainants ignore facts. Can you tell us what type of facts they ignore? Complainants not engage in good faith. Give us an example where complainants were just engaging merely for engagement purposes. I know that in some cases they stated that some people are forum shopping, they're trying to capitalize on the mine being there. Please, can you provide us with that support? And I think maybe this would engage your complaints not engage in good faith. You also mentioned political or interpret politics. I think politicians or politics plays a central role in some of these matters, and they're not necessarily equipped with the relevant facts. And as well as the complaints do not attend engagements. I think that part for me is very important because often we tend to blame the mine for not addressing some of these complaints on the ground, and mines are there and they're present, but as you noticed when we spoke to the House of Traditional Leaders, we said when there is that issue of tension amongst traditional leaders, often in most cases the major sufferers of that issue are mining companies and the communities that are affected by mining activities. Can you just then give us that aspect? I think with me, you mentioned that there's a complaints book that you have at your gate. Maybe also get a copy of that complaints book just to interrogate some of those and see if they fall within your portfolio of evidence, and then see how we will then assist and provide necessary support to yourself on how to further engage with communities as well as traditional leaders. I think those are my current questions and remarks. Perhaps the PM would like to come in, and the senior legal officer. Okay, thank you so much.
On the first comment on the impact of the illegal mining on our operations, obviously it has a severe impact. The Jagtlust one specifically occurred when we did not have the mining right yet, but was in the process of getting approval for that. I can confirm that we are doing a lot of work with the police, and also to the latter part of last year and this year with the military in the area, together with the other mining houses to curb illegal mining. Just in the stretch of all our operations, not specifically related to Jagtlust, in 2023 we have opened 62 cases with the police of illegal mining, and 2024 year to date 13 already. We can also provide those details should it be necessary for the Commission in terms of case numbers at the police. So we do play an active role in trying to curb it. The illegal mining, not only from a rehabilitation point of view, brings a lot of challenges, but also from an economic loss point of view. The Jachless one specifically, a lot of material was mined illegally, where everyone lost out, including government, traditional councils, local employment, all of those type of things. So from that point of view, the impact is massive. If the Commission would like a bit more detail in that, we can prepare a write-up and also provide it if required. On the care and maintenance side, to prevent illegal mining, we have security company employed to prevent this. If we detect illegal mining operations, we also contact the police. We have a good relationship with them, obviously recently in that regard, in order to prevent that from happening. Obviously, you can't cover everything everywhere, and it's also at the end of the day economic decision because security companies are expensive. I think the complaint regarding dust emissions on the Jachless site specifically, I'm not currently aware of dust as there's no operations. It can be due to the historic illegal mining operations. What we will do is I can confirm that we will send a team there to go and investigate specifically to see if there's any specific measures we can put in place in order to address that specific issue. As requested, Madam Chair, the SRP performance evidence, if it's not in the portfolio of evidence, we will also provide that then. I think the good faith comment on the complaint side, one would find that within communities there's also business individuals which seek business opportunities within mining operations. In my view, they will mislead community members to protest under the pretext of specific complaints in order to achieve another goal from a business point of view. On the comment of the political challenges, what I can say there is sometimes there's a lot of dynamics within communities, with various faction groups within the local communities, and that makes life a bit more challenging where mining companies then get caught up in the middle of these issues, which then also bring these other type of protests to the fore under the pretense of representing community interests or individual interest in that regard.
Yeah, can you give us example of that? Because it's this is very interesting, and the way you put it here, you didn't say politics or politicians, but political. So I just want to understand.
Mr. Victor, I don't have the specific example now. Is it possible that I can provide you a short write-up of a specific example for the specific one? Okay.
Are you gonna provide the example, or
A specific example, yeah.
you will give us a specific example, and if we don't get this example, we'll indicate that you are making unfounded allegations. Do you
If
agree
so,
with that?
you may do so.
Yeah, if we don't, if there's no evidence, these allegations are, I'm the way you put it here in the presentation is it's not, you are not saying politicians and you are not saying politics. Political and entrepreneur complicate matters unnecessarily and not equipped with the facts. That's allegations.
We will submit you an example of such a case because it does happen, okay?
Yeah, but I just want to find out because I think it's necessary for us to clarify this. Is it wrong? Because I don't know whether when we say political, you mean politicians, because what are you referring to? Maybe give us the interpretation so that when you give us example, we'll then check if this is in line with your presentation, because when you just say political and entrepreneur complicate matters unnecessarily and do not equip with facts, that's a very serious allegation. It's on record.
Just to confirm, Mr. Victor, it is the word political is used loosely. It's not a politician allocation, for example. It is dynamics within the communities. It's a maybe it's an interpretation thing, but it's a loose connection to that.
Okay, because I'm scared that if we just leave it this way, there might be perception that can be developed that because we use political, not politician, not politics, people might assume that our politicians who are also on the ground, we have councillors, I wanted to ask further questions regarding that, but because you don't have any facts, can we agree that you have made unfounded allegations, or you have failed to support these allegations?
We will provide you with an example.
With the example.
And how we interpret that in a loose fashion.
You will provide.
Yes.
Not that you are withdrawing this.
No.
You are not withdrawing.
No.
You stand.
Yes.
Okay, maybe with the evidence we will be able to make our own determination. Thanks. You can proceed answering.
A copy of the complaints book, we will provide a copy, okay? Madam Chair, that's the last question I have on my list. I'm not sure if I missed anything.
Just lastly, back to I know the theme of the day is public consultation in respect of SLPs. How did you design your public participation to ensure that your SLPs were a reflection of what the community needed in these two mining communities?
That public participation or consultation process goes through the relevant identified structures with our transformation team. I would like to say a wish list of requests is submitted obviously by the communities themselves. We need to ensure that this wish list is in line with the IDP of the municipality, as also communicated earlier in one of the previous presentations, because it needs to fit in with the bigger picture. So we need to ensure that it covers both the municipal requirements from the IDP point of view and also the needs of the communities in that regard. And that's how we identify these type of things, both from HRD point of view or LED projects. If we don't have that letter of support from the municipality, the DMRE will not grant the SLP or approve the SLP in that regard.
Okay. Previously, you indicated that you have notified the DMRA and DWS regarding the flood and all those things that happened, I think, during the rainy season or during the heavy rain. You indicated that. you also notify these two departments. Can I find out from you if you have received any response? I understand that you took action, you have done something to rehabilitate the environment or the area. But my question is, when you notify the department, was there any response from the department, or you just notify them and they didn't do anything, they just leave it as it is? Yeah. Okay. And also to check with you if there is any any life that has been lost during the incident, or any structure, public structure, or a household that have been affected by that particular flood. So can we just get an indication if it was like a disaster where people might have died? If yeah.
Mr. Vite, apologies. Can you just clarify the question? This flood you refer to, is it on the Yachtle side?
Yes.
In 2019, the severe thunderstorm you're talking about.
Yes, you indicated that there's the section where you were talking about the illegal mining.
I will have to get back to you regarding whether the DMRE responded and DWS. We notified them in order for us to assist us to rehabilitate the area. I will confirm.
Okay.
Okay.
I think it's slide number 65.
That's fine.
So thank you so much for the interaction. I'm just going to ask, do you have any closing remarks? If you don't, then you're duly excused from the podium. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the opportunity and the time to give our inputs in this regard. Please be assured that we will, if there's anything else, reach out to us. We will assist in that regard if there's anything needed. We remain committed to ensure the livelihood of our communities. And we've also we will leave you a few pamphlets of SLP commitments that was done, etc., just for your information. But thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Please provide the Human Rights Commission with those written submissions within 7 days. Hero, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. May I kindly check with you if we can quickly have a stretch of legs? I will not call you this one a tea break. I'll just say it's a stretch because it must just be 5 minutes so that we then allow Bukoni to come in. Yes, they are. You are invited for a stretch, a leg stretch, and tea maybe. And then Bukoni, you will come in immediately when we reconvene. Thank you so much. I'm giving you 5 minutes, of course. Yeah. Because on that,
If it's not coming in person, you must indicate that you will be bound.
Oh.
Your mayors have a tendency of distancing itself and go to the secretary of the province of the ANC and lie there that that report is not what the people have reported.
so they must actually resend another letter,
And we spoke to her. They said the elder will sign
the revised
the
letter.
revised one.
Okay.
If that is signed, gets then tomorrow we can have a space meeting.
Okay, because it's now me and Lionel, another official, and he's going to be the one presenting. He's on the letter.
That description is on the letter.
Yeah, Lionel Masiso.
Thank you very much.
left with one mining company today, but they've not given us presentation. And my cousin must not interrupt now. She must not even stand. Tomorrow we have. I have just. We have one more mine tomorrow. Yes. Then we also have Bamrala Koena and Pitafo municipality. I'm not sure, but the Mrala Koena approached me and said, we've written the letter of delegation. Kare, we've spoken about it. That letter is insufficient. I still have to travel to Joburg and fly to Cape Town. Yeah. Yeah. It's not like the Polokwane one. When Polokwane, you can call ahead and say, please wait for me. I called. And I said, I've called before and said, hey, delay the. But normally,
That's what we say, but this mine didn't hear every decision like the others, but they made submissions. And in their submissions, when I went through the submissions last weekend,
Thank you very much for the leg stretch. The 5 minutes was too long. Welcome back. May I kindly check with the chairperson if then I can call to the podium Mr. Philip Tobias, the CEO of Bugoni Platinum. Please close the door. I can hear people from outside. Thank you so much. Chairperson?
Thank you so much. We can then commence with the proceedings. Can we call the representative from the mine, the CEO?
Thank you so much. The CEO from Bokoni Platinum Mine, Mr. Philip Tobias, please come to the podium.
Good afternoon, sir. I note that we have received a written letter from your CEO advising that he is not available to participate in the inquiry, but he's then duly authorized and delegated yourself to represent him. Is that correct?
That is correct, Madam Chair.
Will you be taking the prescribed oath? I'm sorry, just introduce yourself before we just proceed with the prescribed oath.
Good afternoon. My name is Godfrey Malesa. I'm representing the CEO of African Rainbow Minerals, Mr. Philip Tobias, who unfortunately cannot be here today, as well as Bokoni Platinum Mines.
Thank you, sir. Will you be taking an oath or an affirmation?
I'll take the oath.
Do you swear that the evidence you're about to give to the best of your knowledge and belief is the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Do you have any objection in taking the prescribed oath?
No, I do not.
Do you consider the prescribed oath to be binding on your conscience?
Yes, I do.
Please raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
So help me God.
The podium is yours, sir.
Thank you. Once again, good afternoon. Madam Chair, I'd like to just start by placing on record that we have received the Commission's notice, and we have duly responded in writing. Prior to our response, there were engagements with the Commission to try to understand the complaints. We did request specifics to the complaints so that we could investigate and reply meaningfully to the complaints that were raised in the notice. Unfortunately, the Commission declined to provide those specifics. So I just wanted to place that on record. Just to give a brief introduction of how African Rainbow Minerals acquired Bokoni. African Rainbow Minerals acquired Bokoni from Bokoni Holdings, an entity that is owned by Rustenburg Platinum Mines and Atlanta Resources. We officially took over Bokoni in September 2022. When we took over the mine, it was under care and maintenance. And at that stage, all the licenses to operate the mine were in place. Did their own due diligence so that they can be satisfied that all the relevant licenses are in place. Also at that stage, there was a social labor plan that was in place. That social labor plan expired in 2023, and Bokoni has recently submitted a new SLP, SLP 4, to the DMRE. The DMRE has acknowledged receipt. We are awaiting for the approval of the new SLP. Madam, as part of the transaction to acquire Bokoni, one of the conditions was that the transaction had to be approved by certain relevant regulators, including the DMRE and the Competition Tribunal. Those approvals were secured. As part of the approval secured from the Competition Tribunal, included a condition that Bokoni must include communities, employees, as well as black industrialists as part of the shareholding. Those structures must each receive 5% shareholding in Bokoni. Bokoni is currently in the process of implementing that shareholding structure. We were given a period of 36 months from the date of closing of the transaction, which has mentioned that it was September 2022, to implement those structures. We are in the process of implementing those structures. Thank you. That is my brief introduction, and I will duly take any questions.
Do you mind the smile? Because this is the shortest presentation that we received between yesterday and today. And this is including community members. So I'm smiling because I wanted the mind to give me a lot more than what you've given me. And I'm smiling because I'm like, yeah, you've not given the commission any written presentation. We've not received anything from your office, and you'll respond when we are collectively having these engagements. I'm not sure if you were here or you had any representation that was here yesterday when we were speaking to community members and relevant stakeholders about mining communities. And if you do note and remember these engagements, please comment on your engagements as Bokoni Platinum Mine in that regard. You will note that the mine has been in the news. I'm just looking for that pop-up regarding safety conditions, and that there was an issue regarding last week the mine collapsed and a person was left for dead for over 20 hours. And the question is, in respect of your response to them, why did it take so long, and what safety measures do you have in place? And in respect of SLPs, you said that you have submitted the SLP, the 4th generation, to DMRE, and they've acknowledged receipt, and you're just waiting for them to approve that. In that regard, did you consult the relevant stakeholders, which means the traditional leaders, the traditional communities, and the municipality on how to best reflect the SLPs? And in respect of that, how was your consultation process? Given where you operate, the aspect that I also have in respect of your presentation is illegal mining and how they have impacted Bokoni Platinum Mines' business operation. In respect of complaints, we've seen other companies, mining companies, present how they handle grievances. In that regard, please give an explanation of how the Bokoni Platinum Mine deals with the grievance handling procedure. A community member stated this, and I've actually written it down, and this is Mr. Tobejane. And these are people that are within the community that you mine in. And I just want to read it because it's very central to some of the aspects that have been, and the allegations that mining companies use tactics to intimidate community members that raise concerns against mines. Just bear with me while I find it because it's very important. I think I wrote it down on my notes on my phone. Let me just, apologies. Mr. Tabajani said, human beings, pensioners end up in jail because they demand engagement with mining companies. And he said that mining companies rely on the law, the police, as a method of intimidating community members who wish to engage with them. I want your comment on this aspect, that community members seem to feel like mining companies are not willing to engage with them and hide behind legislation, saying that we have complied with the regulations and there's nothing more that we need to do except comply. But also the fact that community members are saying that you're using the police as a method of intimidating outspoken community members. Thank you. I'm going to take it to the PM and then the senior legal officer, a slight difference to our protocol.
Yeah, Thank you very much. I think let me start by making these remarks because you indicated that it should be noted that you requested complaints that has been received by the Human Rights Commission and they were not given to you. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yes. Okay. Colleagues, you need to understand the mandate of the commission and the mandate, the function, the powers of the commission. The commission has no obligation to disclose the source of the complaint. Sometimes we do that to protect the identity of those people because we know there can be consequences. It's there in the act that we can receive anonymous complaints. And if somebody say to us, don't disclose me, we are obliged to investigate without disclosing the name of the complainant. And our own act also allow us to investigate complaints on own accord, which means that we can investigate without receiving any complaints. So I don't understand, because this question is coming from time to time from other respondents. Give us the complaints. We can't give you the identity of our own source, but we have the obligation to investigate human rights violation. That is what the Act allows us to do. Others will talk about the time period. You were supposed to give us this time period and all those things. Imagine a situation where people are dying and there is a violation of human rights, and now we are being told that we must give you 20 days. It won't make the commission effective. But yes, we can engage, but you are still having an obligation to submit the information to us so that we can see what we are doing. So you can't say because you said you want complaints and we didn't give those complaints to you, then you don't make any presentation. But you are mining. We are receiving complaints. Now the chairperson have disclosed the person who will make a presentation against your mine. So please, colleagues, you need to understand how we operate. And even the process that we follow is determined by commission itself. That's why we have our own complaints handling manual. But we try to be reasonable to give our colleagues an opportunity to prepare themselves and all those things. But where there is no time, we can't say you can't appear before the commission. Now we have other colleagues who have made presentations and also undertook to submit further evidence to the commission. It is allowed. And our intention is not to nail the mining company. We want to create a working environment between the mining companies and the communities where you are mining, because we can't stand on the sideline when the rights of our people are not respected. So the intention is not to prove to you that you are wrong, you are not doing things right and all those things. But we want to we want to identify the challenges and then work together to resolve those challenges. That is the intention of the hearing. But where it need be, we will take action, we will make funding, we make recommendations to make sure that you improve. Thank you. You can proceed answering those questions.
Thank you.
No, we still have the senior legal officer, then you'll answer.
Thank you very much. I'm not going to add on what the PM has already indicated. I think that's clear. Maybe what I will do, just to amplify and get further information that we need. If we are to look at the, pardon me, my note just disappeared for a moment here. Through our own investigations, we managed to get information about Bokoni as a mining company. We went to the community where the mining activities are occurring. We met with traditional leadership from that area as well. And if you were here yesterday, you would have heard some of the issues that I hinted on in my submissions as the common cries from some of the community members. But I just want to touch base on Bokoni's operation in the 2019 to 2023 fiscus or the social labor plan for 2019 to 2023. If you just listen to this reflection, out of 8 projects that Bokoni had undertaken to do, only 2 were implemented. There are 6 that are outstanding out of that cycle. This was also verified when we got the response from DMRE, the regulatory body. I want to now hear from your side, what are the submissions from the mine in respect of these projects which were not completed as per that cycle? Perhaps if I can pause there and hear from you, then we can then determine how we can move forward with further questions.
Thank you. I'll start with the question on that we did not submit a presentation. Perhaps I wasn't clear. We did submit a written response to the notice that was received from the Commission that was sent via email to the members that were noted in the inquiry that was submitted to the Commission. As I've mentioned before, prior to that, we did engage with the Commission to ask for specifics to some of the complaints so that we could investigate them. And mainly because the reason for some of us asking for those specifics is because, as I've mentioned, took over Bokoni in 2022, so we wanted to understand if some of these complaints were historical complaints where we needed to go back and look at historical records or were new complaints. So that's one of the reasons we did ask for those specifics. It was not to impede the Commission doing its job in terms of legislation. We do understand that you do have a mandate to investigate on your own accord and also keep the complainant's details confidential. We are well aware of that. So just to clarify the issue of no presentation, we did submit a written response. On the issue of the fatality that had occurred at Bokoni, Commissioner, that was not part of the complaints that we received in the inquiry that we responded to. If you'll allow us to then respond to you in writing on that issue.
Can I just ask, I note that you want to respond in writing, but why your understanding of the incident, just a summary of it without going into detail, why did it take so long for the mine to assist, and what safety measures? Because I'm assuming that when you're sitting here, the mine has safety measures in place for such incidences that occur. What is the safety measure and why did it take so long? The other aspects, the detail, you can answer us in writing, but right now, sitting here, you're aware of the incident, you're aware that it took approximately 20 hours, and what is your comment on that?
Commissioner, I would love to answer your question on that, but as I've mentioned, because it didn't form part of the notice that was received, the individual that dealt with that fatality are not here to give those details. So I ask for indulgence for us to respond in writing.
Yes, please.
Maybe just you are indicating that you responded in writing. The response, I'm looking at it. The notice was served or was sent. The response is 3 pages. The rest is a copy of your internal grievance procedure. That is the response. You've been here since yesterday. You have seen how other minds have also outlined in detail the issue. It cannot be the fact that you didn't get the exact copy of the complaint, because that's what was requested from Bukodi when we declined to say, we cannot furnish you with the exact copy of the complaints. And we outlined that this is the reason why. We are doing this inquiry, dealing with these issues on a systemic level. You understand? But it would seem now, anything that we can ask, you might be responding to say, can you respond in writing? Is that going to be the position of the mine?
Just before you answer, I think it's very important to understand that we noted to other mining companies that based on the interaction and the responses and presentation from community members, what is your response? For you to then hide behind the fact that this question that I'm asking about an incident that happened a week ago at your mine and saying it was not part of the question for this inquiry, I am quite astonished by your approach to it. The question is, you're aware of the incident. It took approximately 20 hours for the mine to respond. And hence I said, I'm actually shocked that your presentation was so short and you're not addressing some of the aspects that we asked you in our notice to the mine. Again, it took 20 hours. There are safety measures. You're sitting there. You are supposed to be aware that the mine has safety measures. What are those safety measures, and why did you fail to implement them effectively? Thank you.
Can I just ask you, what is your position there in that mine?
I'm based at the head office, African Rembarin.
No, what is your position?
I'm
the
the
position.
executive legal.
Yeah, executive?
Legal.
Legal.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you aware of the incident that the commissioner is referring to?
I'm aware of the incident, sir, but I'm not aware of the specifics around the incident.
Just answer my question. Simple.
Yes, I am.
Yes, you are aware of that. What had happened? Can you tell us your own understanding of what had happened? Then commissioner will then take you from there. Tell us what happened in that incident, because you are confirming that the incident happened. You are aware of the incident.
Yes.
It means that it happens, and the commission is aware of that incident. Tell us what happened. According to your understanding, how you understand.
Commissioner, again, I'm going to request that we reply to this question in writing.
Okay, then can you provide the mine safety measures? What safety measures does the mine have? So I think the concern, especially from my side, is that there was a breach in your safety measures and you're sitting there and you cannot give us an explanation of what happened. You're aware of that incident and you're just saying that, I'm aware of it, can we make written submissions? If lives had been lost and you're sitting there and you're saying, I'm aware of that lives have been lost, can I make written submissions? I'm not sure what your seniors would say in your response to that. And remember, the public is watching your response and they want to understand what failed in respect of safety measures and what the mine is doing to correct those safety measures.
Commissioner, I'm not the best person to answer those questions that you're raising. That's why I'm requesting that we respond in writing to that question. As I've explained, this is a question that was not included in the notice that we received from the commission. So if we could be given time to respond to those questions in writing, we'll do so.
May I ask, when you received that notice and you were then sat and you were delegated to come and represent Bokoni Mine here, what do you think you're going to do here? Because you operate in a community, you're aware that there are a number of complaints that you have received, the commission has received complaints, and there's a public image that Bokoni Platinum Mine is participating in activities that violate human rights. What did you think you were going to do here before the commission, simply by saying that this has not been part of the notice to attend the inquiry, is the weakest response I've received today?
So I think you have made an admission here. That makes me to feel like the CEO of Bokoni is undermining the Human Rights Commission. You are telling us that you are not the best person to respond to these questions. So why the CEO send somebody who's not the best person to respond to the questions? We have paid, you will use public funds to pay for this venue, just to be told that I'm not the best person to respond. Are you going to cover our cost for this sitting? Because in no ways that we can be happy when we are being told that I'm not the best person. We have indicated that if the CEO is not coming, there must be written undertaking that the person will be sent to appear on behalf of the mine, have been given the mandate, and as a person who can represent the company, and the CEO will be bound by what you will be saying. So now you are making this admission that I'm not the best person to respond to those questions.
If I can respond. Thank you. If I'm allowed to just give a brief background on the incident. And as I've explained, we will give more details in writing if that is fine with the commission.
Can I tell you what's surprising? Once you said, can I give a brief background on that, everyone in the audience was like, where did he get that information all of a sudden?
Well, I'm
Because
sitting with my
you said you're not the best person to answer. You could have just said, can I liaison with my colleagues to give you that response? So everyone in the audience is asking, and they seem to be a bit suspicious that all of a sudden he's got a response. And I would want to caution you that you're under oath, and that, again, we may then have to then subpoena the CEO given the responses that we're going to receive today. Thank you very much.
Okay.
You may answer.
Noted. Sorry, if I can just get a moment with my colleague. Thank you. I've liaised with my colleague. From what we understand, there was a serious fog incident underground in our development session, and the team leader was trapped under the fog. So there were people that were dispatched to do the rescue. But the efforts were delayed due to the ground conditions in the mine. So that's in short, the incident that led to the facility at Bokoni.
Can you also then give us the issue of the safety measures at Bokoni. It's something that I've also asked as part of my question, that what safety measures are at place at Bokoni Platinum Mine?
In short, so Bokoni does have these safety and health measures in place. We have the legal appointments being appointed in accordance with the Mine Health and Safety Act. Obviously, with the fatality that has incurred, the DMR was notified and local inspection has been done, and those investigations are currently underway, and we will obviously collaborate and with the DMR in the investigation that is currently underway to understand what actually happened with the incident that led to the fatality at the mine.
We would also then require that written submission that you had earlier advised us that you'd provide us with. And in that written submission, so please then advise us on the safety measures and that you have currently, and how those safety measures were failed, and how you're going to prevent similar incidents from taking place. You may proceed with answering the rest of the questions from the panel.
I think the next question is on the SLP consultation. As mentioned, when African Rainbow Minerals acquired Bokoni, there was an existing SLP in place, which expired in 2023. Prior to that, what Bokoni did is that because we were taking over a mine as new owners, we engaged an independent party to conduct a study, research, just to understand the socioeconomics of the communities. So that independent company engaged with community members and the relevant structures within the communities, and prepared a report that Bokoni considered, and then from there Bokoni engaged with the relevant stakeholders through consultations to try and formulate an LSFP for the mine. That process has been concluded. The SLP has been drafted and has been submitted to the DMRE, and we're just waiting for the DMRE to approve that the SLP. Some of the stakeholders that were consulted included traditional leaders, municipalities, and the broader forums within the community. But one thing also to highlight is that another process that Bokoni undertook was to ensure that it forms new community engagement forums. So that process is currently underway. Elections have been held in some of the communities, and once that process is concluded, the relevant forums will be constituted. On the issue of illegal mining, Bokoni has been impacted by illegal mining on its mining area, and it has engaged the DMRE and the SEPS. We have opened criminal cases with SEPS. Some of those cases are still pending. There has been collaboration with the DMRE and SEPS in how we can combat the illegal mining. So our Protection Service Department has regular engagements with SEPS and the DMRE on how we can deal with the issue of illegal mining. And just to highlight, those engagements have been very fruitful. We are happy with the engagements that we are having with SEPS and the DMRE. I mean, some of the impacts obviously include that we are losing out on mineral resources that are mined illegally. That is, comes at a cost to the mine. We have put in place security measures to try and convert that, to combat the illegal mining. We have patrols patrolling our mining areas to see if there's any illegal mining that has been undertaken on our mining area. I think another question related to the commitments to projects under the previous SLP. There was mention that only 2 projects were completed and that 6 were outstanding. Just to highlight that there are 4 projects that are outstanding. It's the mobile clinic, the community hall and library, and a water intervention, and the building of a access bridge. Those projects, we have communicated with the DMRE and we have put together catch-up plans, which we have provided to the DMRE. And we are engaging on a monthly basis with the DMRE, where we are providing them with progress reports on where we are with those projects. And I mean, for example, on the community hall, the building is being rebuilt because there were certain issues with the structure that were identified. So that is still in progress, but we are looking to complete those projects within the time periods that have been communicated to the DMRE.
I also asked in respect of your complaints handling procedure. Can you please provide us with that if you have same? Also, just to touch base on the catch-up plans, you said that you had catch-up plans. Have you communicated your inability to fulfill your SLPs with the affected communities? And in respect of the establishment of your new community forums, what type of method is being used to develop and establish these community forums? And is there public participation, and how do you go about that?
Mine is very simple. You referred to rebuild the building. I don't know what it means, but you said except the community hall, you have to rebuild the building. And
I was referring to the community hall.
so what happened? You didn't give the details, but as much as I'm listening to you, but what I've noticed is that most of the issues you are not sure. Like, for example, the project that you have mentioned, you just said that they will be finalized at the time that is specified. You're not giving us the time frame. So it does not assist us. Let us be specific. If you are saying that the community hall will be completed in August, let it be so. Tell us. Those projects you should have, if you have specific dates to complete or specific month, share with us so that when the community members complain to the Human Rights Commission, we can also be your voice, because it's like you have lost touch with the community members. That's why they are coming to the commission. We can tell them that, okay, you see that community hall will be completed in this particular date. But if you're not sharing any information with us, how are we going to respond? I think I'm happy that all these are happening while the DMRE is here. I must say to you, colleagues, that I really don't want us to, more especially with the question that was asked by the commissioner. That question is very important. We don't want what happened in Mpumalanga to happen in Limpopo. We want our people to be safe. And we want the mining companies to have measures in place, to have contingency plan on how they will rescue our people if they are trapped underground. So we cannot really allow this situation. You need to be well conversant with what is happening in your mining, in your mine, if you are coming to the commission. But I don't really feel that we are getting what we want, Commissioner. I think if it was within my powers, I was going to say we adjourn the hearing, we'll subpoena the CEO, or we'll start by inviting the CEO. If he doesn't come, we are going to issue a formal subpoena against him. Because we are not getting, more especially after the confession that I'm not the right person. It's over to you.
Thank you so much, Provincial Manager. I think we'll give him an opportunity to attempt to answer some of these questions. Should I then feel and supported by the panel that the answers are insufficient, we will then take further steps after we had a deliberation about that. But again, he did say that he's not the right person, so maybe let's allow him to converse with his colleagues and attempt to answer. Should he fail, then we'll take the necessary steps. Senior Legal Officer, any questions or remarks?
I hear in your responses, you also refer to the fact that ARM took over Ukoni this year.
That's 2022, sir.
2022.
Yes.
Maybe in your response, just also clarify the panel. When you say ARM took over, I'm assuming this is a sale. Was it a sale of a business going concern, or the opposite?
Okay, I'll start with the question on the new community forums. So part of the process that I mentioned when I said we appointed an independent company to do a socio-economic study, that also included looking into how best to constitute community forums. So what we have done is that we have appointed an independent company to run the elections for the community engagement forums. So prior to the elections being held, there were notices given to the communities, publicized on the radios and public places within the community. And those elections were then held, and communities elected their representatives that they want to represent them in these engagement forums. Like with any other election processes, obviously we received complaints that some elections were not fair, and we are investigating those complaints as received from the community members. So that is the process that was followed on engagement community forums. Another question that was raised was around the grievance management procedure that Bokoni currently has in place. This is part of the document that was provided to the Commission in our written response. You will note from the grievance procedure that it deals with complaints by our relevant stakeholders, and it's based on the United Nations grievance guidelines. So members of the community can submit complaints to the mine. They can do so confidentially, anonymously, if they don't want their identity to be revealed. And then there's a procedure then that the Bokoni follows. And after that, during that investigation, the complainant is kept up to date and is involved in the investigation. If they're not happy with the outcome of the investigation, they can appeal to an appeals committee. The appeals committee will consist of an independent member who will be appointed in collaboration with the complainant, who's well versed in the whatever matter that has been investigated. In short, that is our grievance procedure. Moving on to the next question, it relates to the dates on when we intend to completing the outstanding community projects. In respect of the community hall, the water project, as well as the mobile clinic, the intention is to complete them by the end of July this year. And in respect of the access bridge, the intention is to do so by the end of August. As mentioned, we are in contact with the DMRE around our catch-up plans, so we do give monthly progress to the DMRE if there's any delays on our, that we have not foreseen that we think might delay the proposed completion dates. The last question was around the sale, what kind of a sale it was when acquired Bokoni. It was a share sale transaction. So Bokoni acquired 100% shareholding in Bokoni from its then holding company, which was Bokoni Holdings, which was owned by Rustenburg Platinum Mines and Atlasa Resources.
My follow-up questions. You said that you have hired an independent company in respect of the community forum. The question was the methodology. What type of method are they using to then have these new community forums? That's the part that I wanted answers to, the method. In respect of your complaints method or procedure, I note that. But what types of complaints have you received as the mine, and how have you dealt with them? And you can just give us an example. If you're unable to, so please say that you are not in the position to answer that question. In respect of the updates, in respect of SLPs, I asked if you're communicating with the community affected by these SLPs. The reason, the rationale behind that is that there was 8 communities only received 2, and of course there will be an outcry that you failed to fulfill your SLPs to the community members. Have you communicated challenges to your community members? And this goes about transparency and accountability by mining companies to their communities about SLPs. That's the central question, that you may communicate with DMRE, but no one is communicating with the affected community members, which then creates that gap and that perception that mining communities are not taken care of by the mines that are operating there. PM, do you have any further questions and remarks? Then after that, we're going to take it to the senior legal officer immediately thereafter. All right, you may answer those questions.
Can I just, the chairperson just remind me of another question that I wanted to ask you. When you mentioned the project, that are underway. You also mentioned the issue of mobile clinic. When you said it's a project, you mean the procurement process? Yeah, just that. Is this procurement or this project of the mobile clinic, are you doing that in conjunction or in consultation with the Department of Health? Or what is happening? When is it going to be procured, if it's a whatever? But I just want to know, when are you going to complete the whole process so that we can say our people have a mobile clinic? Thanks.
On the thank you. On the question of on the method that we have used as the mine to elect the forums, to establish the forums, just to explain. So we have about 40 villages. So for each village, there is an election for its own community forum, and out of those community forums for the villages, then there is a small forum that is elected that will be dealing with the mine. So that is the method that is has been used by the mine. And then coming to the issue of the type of grievances that the mine has received, it has been mainly around employment issues. We do follow the grievance procedure that we have implemented for the mine. But what is important to note is that part of the structures that the mine is currently establishing will be able to deal with some of the issues or grievances that the community members are electing, also around employment. So there will be forums like your employment forums that will be able to answer some of the grievances or pass them over to the mine. And on the issue of the mobile clinic, I think it's just the name that the mine has given to the project, but it is a permanent structure. So the mobility of it is because of the nurses that will be dispatched by the Department of Health to come and assist community members. So the department will take lead on that, and we are engaging with the department around this project. They have been involved, and they will take over the project once it's completed. It will be handed over to the Department of Health. Just to explain further, so the nurses will come on a particular day, so that's why we call it a mobile clinic. So they won't be nurses there all the time, but there will be days that will be communicated to the communities that on this particular date there will be nurses or doctors that will be coming to visit the permanent structure, and then the community members can then make their way to the clinic.
I think it's important. I think language is very important when you speak about certain SLPs, because when you spoke about mobile clinic, the idea we had was that this is a clinic that would be moving around and engaging the community. Now you're saying the structure is permanent, but the staff are mobile.
Yeah, sorry, is that the name that the mine has given to the...
Perhaps
To the project
maybe,
name.
and this is for DMR, let's interrogate the language that is used in the SLP submitted by mining companies to ensure that when we are holding them accountable, we are holding them accountable for correct SLPs and the use of language. It's the second mining company that said that, please, we apologize for the language used in our documents. And again, you've not answered in respect of communicating to the relevant communities that are affected by SLPs. For example, if someone is listening and saying, oh, wait, Bokoni Platinum Mine promised to deliver a mobile clinic, and this was done in the 2019, 2023 generation of the SLP, and they've not delivered on that. And you are saying that and you've not answered it. Are you communicating with them? Because they're I'm assuming community members are reliant on your SLPs.
I was coming to that, sorry.
Okay. Then also when you're answering that, in respect of, and the reason I'm asking about method about community forums is, are you identifying marginalized groups such as women that will represent communities, youth, which will address youth concerns? So the methodology, I understand that 40 villages have the elections and they are, it's publicized, but what are you looking for? Who's identified in those community forums? Because I am assuming that women and children, given the nature of mining activities, are the ones that suffer the most because they're reliant on farming and livestock. So when you're explaining that, just explain how do you identify and how do you then set parameters for those community elections?
On the question of communication with communities on the SLP project, yes, the mine has communicated with the community members. Also, one of the initiatives that Bokoni has come up with is to issue monthly newsletters to the communities where it details the status of the mining operations, the employment opportunities, the locals employed procurement opportunities. So that is something that Bokoni does on a monthly basis. Also, it assists the community members to understand where we are with the ramp up of the mine, because when we took over the mine, it was on care and maintenance. So we have to then try and ramp up production. So that's what we are doing currently. So that is entailed in our monthly newsletter to the communities. On the election of community forums, specifically in relation to women, youth, and disabled individuals, just to highlight, when we conducted the study, it's one of the critical issues that was picked up, and the mine has been encouraging the community members to ensure that youth, disabled, and women are elected to the community forums. So that is something that was identified by the mine through the study that was done.
Thank you so much. I don't know if the provincial manager has any questions or further remarks, or the senior legal officer. I'm noting the time as well, but given the fact that we really want to engage this particular mine about its activities within their community. I do apologize to the audience members as well as the participants in the room. Thank you very much.
Maybe just one last question from me. When last did you receive a visit from the MRE to conduct an inspection?
Come on, can you repeat that?
When did you last receive a visit from the MRE to conduct an inspection?
28 February of this year.
We have no further questions for yourself. I just want to ask, do you have any closing remarks? If you don't have any closing remarks, then you're excused from the podium. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. If you can indulge me for a second. Just to confirm, so our written response will always be on the first point around the fatality. And what was that? It's not left good. On the fatality, that's the written response that you require from us. And the safety measures.
Yes, so those are in conjunction, they are interrelated.
Yes.
So we need those written submissions in 7 working days.
Okay, noted. Thank you. I'm assuming we could send it to the same individuals that we've been sending our responses to.
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you, Commission, for giving us the opportunity to come and attend this important inquiry. Thank you.
You're excused.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and thank you very much, Bokone Platinum Mine. May I kindly check with you, Chairperson, if you are ready to give your final remarks for today and then adjourn the session. Before the chairperson comes in, there's a request that tomorrow will only accommodate those who are on the program plus their 2 supporting colleagues. Tomorrow will accommodate those who are on the program and their 2 supporting colleagues. And then the complainants. The complainants, of course, they are here with us. And then for more, if there's any clarity that you seek, you can talk to the SLO advocate Padantuan. Chairperson?
Ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of day 2. We note the deliberations and the fact that today we took a bit of time to engage mining companies and the importance of dialogue. I would like to thank the participants online who have viewed us and the participants inside, and I also thank you again for your patience in respect of the time delays and the time constraints that we've had today. I wish to also highlight the importance of the responses that we received from the mining companies. Tomorrow we have 2 more mining companies that will make their presentation. We wait for the Office of the Premier as well as the 2 outstanding municipalities will then come and give their closing submissions. I note what the facilitators said about the program tomorrow, but we also then recall that we have the complainants who are present. We would also then advise that you return so that you can participate and view what is happening today. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your robust engagement, your patience, as well as your participation online and offline. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I adjourn day 2.
Thank you very much. When I said all those who are on the program, I mean from day 1. So if you are on the program from day 1, that's what I meant when I say if you are on the program and your 2 supporting staff, then you are welcome tomorrow.